Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, first up, the retraction and an apology. Yesterday, I went pretty heavy, pretty hard on this story about Justin Trudeau's plan to bring back vaccine mandates, the Liberal Party plan to bring back vaccine mandates. But it's not true. How about that? I was sent this information from several people. I saw the information also being reported on other independent platforms. Some of them went pretty hard with it as well through the day. And it's not true. The Liberals did have their convention last weekend, and they did discuss policy, and they had guest speakers. Hillary Clinton was there and was interviewed on stage by Canada's Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland. I only watched portions of it. I didn't have time to watch all of it. Well, a lot of it was going on. I was on the air here with you. So I didn't get to see everything. And then yesterday, I received correspondence from sources, people that I have trusted, people within the freedom movement were sending me information about what they were seeing on the Liberal Party of Canada website. Let me bring it up for you again. And it's still up there tonight. It is. Hang on. There it is. This is still on the Liberal Party of Canada website. It lays out the whole policy for mandatory vaccination. I was given this information. I was told it's accurate. If you go to liberal.ca and then you navigate through the pages, you'll find this on there. They have another page for proof of vaccination. In addition to being sent this link to the website, I was also given an audio clip of someone phoning a Liberal member of Parliament, their constituency office, and speaking to someone there, asking questions about this. And the person from that constituency office confirmed that the information, as I shared it with you last night, was accurate, but it still isn't true. It isn't true. You know why it isn't true? Because that is the platform that the Prime Minister and the Liberals ran on in the last federal election. So why didn't I pick up on this? Because the website is dated 2023. Because the information was presented to me as being current. Because there was confirmation from someone who works for a member of parliament, because I received it from multiple sources, because I saw it online being treated as fact by other independent streamers. I won't call them journalists. I saw other people in the freedom movement going super hard on this yesterday, a few people going very, very, very hard on this. And it made my mind blow. I mean, my blood was boiling because this appeared to me to be accurate. I had no reason to doubt it. There were multiple sources, many places where I was getting confirmation that this was indeed the case, and that this was something that had been discussed over the weekend and was now policy, because it was actually placed on the website. Except that this is not current. This is from the last election. How do I know? Because you'll recall last night I said I was going to call the Prime Minister's office. Well, I did make some phone calls, and I did speak to someone from the Liberal Party today, and they clarified this for me. This is not the Liberal Party platform for the next election. This is not policy as they would have it if reelected coming into the next election. This is just an old page on an updated website that happens to be dated 2023. And some people are taking advantage of that. And they are spreading propaganda and lies. And I am sorry, because I got caught up in that. And even though I did take steps to verify, I got caught. And I apologize. I apologize first to Justin Trudeau for making an error. I apologize to the Liberal Party and all those other stakeholders affected by my mistake. Mostly, I apologize to you and the public. To the Maverick family, I apologize. They got me. And I'm pretty upset. I'm upset with myself first, because even though I did take steps to verify, I didn't go far enough. I guess I need to go a lot further than I used to because of the information warfare environment that we are in. I'm also upset with the freedom movement, or whatever they're calling it these days, because what went on yesterday with this was bullshit. Simple as that. I'm tired of it. You complain, we can't win. Oh my God, what are we going to do? You're not going to win by lying. I'm upset because of the people who call here and hijack the phone lines when we go to the call-in portion of the show, as was the case the other night when I told that guy to go F himself. When he called up here, engaging in all kinds of BS and honestly fear-mongering, trying to scare the crap out of people. I'm tired of the people calling in here, scaring the crap out of people. I'm tired of what I'm seeing going on in whatever this freedom movement thing has become. In fact, I know what it is. I've dug down deep and I know what's really going on. And I'm disturbed. And it leaves me feeling hopeless because I don't see any good options anymore. I mean, I just had to apologize to Justin Trudeau. Why? Because I got duped by the freedom movement. And I'm not the only one. You know, when I called there today to confirm the information and ask some questions, I was ready to go hard and ask some hard questions today about this. And you know what I found out? They've been bombarded with phone calls over there because of the BS being spread by the freedom movement. It's not a freedom movement anymore. It's a BS movement. Oh, there are people out there fighting for freedom. And that's what I'm trying to do here. That's what I've been trying to do from the very beginning. But there are people out there who just want to tear everything down. The government wants to tear it down. And the people on, so a lot of these people on this other side, whatever the other side might be, they're just trying to tear it down too. Well, telling you they're trying to save Canada. Save Canada or take Canada back. Take Canada back. It was never yours, man. Not the people who say that they want to take it back. What good is a reconstituted country if it's led by a bunch of people who predicate their lies or predicate their soon to who would predicate their power on a foundation of lies? What good is it? What's a reconstituted country if it's built on a foundation of lies? That's what we have now. You're just trading one set of problems for another, and probably worse, based on what I've been seeing. Crying out loud. We scared people last night. I scared people last night. I was scared. Petrified. People talking to me last night about leaving the country because of the information that I shared about this. Can't deny I had similar thoughts. After all, who the hell wants to live in a country where mandatory vaccinations would become the new normal? And I told you that I didn't think it would hold, that it would be unconstitutional. So I still had hope because it wouldn't be constitutional. There's no way the government can make that mandatory in that fashion for an extended period of time after an emergency is no longer present, when the danger is over. And the World Health Organization had declared just this past week that the pandemic is over. There's no way it would hold. Wouldn't stand up in court. And the mandates are gone, man. They're mostly gone. Still some stupid stuff going on out there, smatterings of it. But this is not true. I'll tell you something else. I have been catching bits and pieces of lies here and there. I've been catching exaggerations. I've been trying to tell you that you're being lied to on both sides, all sides. It is an information war. We're caught in the middle of it. I've never seen anything or experienced anything like this in my lifetime. It's pretty disgusting. They are manipulating everyone. The people who are most vulnerable psychologically are really being harmed because they are really suffering serious mental health issues in some cases, where they are really believing complete crap. And they are being fed crap. And we have people on tour right now from different organizations that, you know, are presenting themselves as freedom fighters. And what they're really doing is they're going across the country spewing BS and in some cases charging money for courses to teach them about BS things. This was BS. I'm really sorry. I'm embarrassed. Truly embarrassed. It made no sense to me, and yet it made sense to me. It made sense to me because I'm scared too, and it's made me paranoid. And I view the government and the prime minister in such a way that it looked like it was factual to me. I believed it. The liberals should have taken this page down, frankly, a long time ago. It doesn't look good on them. It does confuse people, but it's still not their fault. It's not Justin Trudeau's fault that people took advantage of this. I mean, I guess it is, but it's not true. And I told you before, I would never lie to you. And if I make a mistake, I own up to it. And here I am doing it. They got me. But but they're losing me too. They got me, but now they're losing me. They've been losing me for a while. When I say that, I mean the freedom movement. They're losing me, man. Because it's not a freedom movement. There are people who just want power, or they're grifters, or they are in it for the status, the recognition. They like the limelight. They're media whores. They found an audience during the trucker convoy with their streaming, and they don't want to let that go. Or they've got some organization where they're making money, or they're seeking political power, and they found a network and an organization, a group that they could latch onto and use as a base of support. These are all things that are actually going on. And at the very core of it, frankly, it's the sovereign citizen common law groups who are exploiting this, and they don't want it to end. That's largely what it is. And they've rebranded themselves as the freedom movement. It's a populist movement, to be sure, but it's not a freedom movement. Oh, there are a lot of people out there fighting for freedom on the front lines, just average, ordinary Canadians. A lot of people going out there every weekend to participate in these different rallies and protests. A lot of them have become social gatherings. But it isn't what it's being presented to the people as. Be careful what you're believing. I'm going to have to be more careful. Bloody ridiculous. It's so hard to know what's true and what isn't anymore. I went through a lot of this with people, I've been going over it for like the last 6 months, especially. It's hard to know what's real, what isn't real, what's propaganda, what isn't propaganda, where's this information coming from? And it's coming from all sides. It's coming from other governments. It's coming from within the freedom movement itself, because you have these people who have sort of latched onto it, or actually a lot of them were there at the very beginning. But even before the freedom movement started, there were these organizations that were sort of loosely connected, and they've been taking advantage of the freedom movement. They saw it as an opportunity to latch on to a large group of people and expand their organization. And that's what they've been doing. And there's a group going across the country right now that shall remain nameless, but they are going across the country right now with a campaign, stop after stop after stop after stop. And they are indoctrinating people, teaching them about common law, what they call common law. And it's bunk. And the objective here really is, I keep saying, what are we fighting for? I want to know what we're fighting for. What are we fighting for? I don't really get answers back. Even now, I really don't get any answers back. Nobody's got an alternative form of government that they're coming forward with that's viable in Canada. But they're all eager to tear it down. And that is really the objective behind all of this. The disinformation campaigns, the propaganda coming from all different sides. And the different sides, even if they're not aligned, they're looking at each other and saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so a lie starts over here, a little piece of propaganda pops up over there, and another group that might not even be supportive of that group, they're both trying to disrupt things and dismantle the entire system and just unseat the government, and whatever their political objectives might be, they align with just disruption. So they're trying to destroy it. They're really trying to destroy the country while saying they want to save it. And there's no doubt in my mind that the government's also kind of undermining the fabric of Canada, socially, economically, politically, in every way. So the entire country is under attack, even from within its own government, in my view. So there's no good option. So there's no doubt in my mind that Canada is under attack from the Chinese. It's under attack from the Russians. It's probably under attack from, I don't know, pick a country, man, Iran. Probably every other country on the face of the earth is probably to one degree or another trying to manipulate or undermine or disrupt things here. And you have these groups, even, you don't even know where it's coming from. And sometimes it just gets amplified. And because we have a growing audience here, I have become a target. This channel, this show has become a target. I was aware of that from the very beginning, but it is like overwhelming, honestly. The constant emails, the volume of which is increasing every single day, the phone calls, the people presenting themselves as something that they're not to me, trying to deceive me and dupe me and try to get on the show or call in and manipulate things and lie, just outright lie to me and present information on this program that sometimes isn't entirely factual through the call-in program or even trying to get on this show. I have people trying to get on here all the time who I know have motives that are not pure. And so I say, no, you're not in favor of free speech. Yes, I am. But what I don't have to do is give someone a platform so they can just outright lie to you. If they want to go lie, they can go get their own YouTube channel and a Facebook page and have at it. I'm trying to get everyone closer to the truth, whatever the truth is on any given issue, every single day. And this was not helpful yesterday at all. Oh, it's helpful if you're just trying to disrupt and destroy, tear everything down. And I wonder, any of those other independent streamers out there who went hard on this thing yesterday, have any of those others come out and apologized or run a retraction of any kind? Because I haven't seen it yet. Why is that? Did they know? Or were they duped? Some of them are pretty tight with that little network that I've seen. My guess is some of them knew and just ran it, because I think it was a premeditated propaganda campaign. And it worked. And you know what made me question it right up? This morning, received an email from someone accusing me of being a fearmonger. And I thought, I'm a fearmonger? I've been working the other way. I have been out of step with just about every other freedom-oriented or freedom movement live streamer over the past, I don't know how many months now. 4, 6. I've been, pretty alone over here. And I've been trying to, prevent violence. I've been, an advocate for peace. I have been pushing to keep things truthful. I've been calling out people when I find that they are, engaging in lies or propaganda, or if they're engaging in bad behavior that in some way would have discredited the freedom movement. And what did I get back? Pushback, kicked in the teeth, accused of lying. Oh, I'm lying. Everything I ever presented on here, I showed people in their own words, having them say it. I didn't just say someone had said something. I showed you the clips. Oh, but I was still lying. I guess I just like overdub the audio with artificial voice software or something and do a deep fake on all those different people. Came right off their social media or straight up interviews with me where they said it. You all know what I'm talking about. At least anybody who watches this program regularly. Oh, you're just trying to build your channel, they said. Oh, yeah, really? Look what's happened to this channel. I sacrificed the damn channel. I sacrificed the viewers. I sacrificed the subscribers. I had channels taken down. I came under attack. I've been under cyber attack from not the government. From bad actors, man. And they're vicious. And I'm not the only one in the freedom movement that they've attacked. It's been going on from forever. And I don't even want to get engaged in it. Like, I've avoided a lot of stuff. I know all kinds of things where I could say things about people and get into all kinds. I don't want to go down that road. I was just trying to keep peace, man. That's all I was ever really doing. That's all I was doing. And I see all these other people fighting, and it's, personalities, and they're fighting over the money. And I just it's like, whatever. You guys go and you can go do all that stuff. But because of all that stuff, the whole freedom movement, it's been falling apart from within. I'm tired of trying to protect it, protect the integrity of it, because there isn't any integrity left at the core of it. Sorry. Truth hurts, eh? What good is it? What good is any of this? What good is a country that's just, if you're going to overthrow or tear down or vote out or do whatever the hell you think you're going to do and put in what, I don't know. But once it's there, if it's all based on a bunch of lies, then what good is it? And this thing yesterday, what was that? That was just a lie. Straight up lie. Yeah, I want Trudeau out. I want him gone. But I want to do it with integrity. I want to do it the right way. I want to do it with honesty. I don't want to lie. I don't want to be part of a lie, and I won't be part of a lie. This program is not here as a propaganda tool for anybody. I'll present various sides of an argument. I will allow other people to come on here and challenge, different points of view. We'll have civil conversations. We can explore various issues, but I will not sit here and be a mouthpiece for anyone. I left the mainstream media a long time ago so that I wouldn't have to do that. And I'm not going to sit here and do it now for anyone. Not for any amount of money. Not for anything. I am uniquely positioned to be in a place of freedom. I can say what I want. Nobody owns me, man. Nobody controls me, and I'm not giving that up. And you can threaten me and say that you're gonna whatever, okay? But this thing yesterday, that was a goddamn lie, and I'm disgusted because a lot of the people engaged in that knew it. They knew, and they kept on with it. Because I don't know, there's something wrong up here with some people. Not this boy. That's not my style, man. And I'm so sorry to everybody for what happened because it's not right. And I guess I just was not thorough enough. What a strange time we are in. I'm just sorry. It's really left me off center, off balance tonight. I was so upset with the information that I was given, and I believed it to be true. And I was livid last night. And as much as I think I should feel better because the government in power right now is not looking at this in this way, that this is not the platform, the plank of their platform that they're going to run on in the next election. So I should feel a little more at ease. I don't feel any better because this just makes me feel like what am I going to vote for now? What is there? I'm so sick of it. So sick of it. We have to do better. I have to do better. I'll try to do better. That's what happened. Man. And they scared you, man. They scared me. They scared a lot of people. And I know that some people are so jacked up that they're ready to do crazy things. And that is also why they're doing this. I know that. And no, Gina, it wasn't just a mistake. It was far more than that. And you know what? You're telling me to put the baseball bat down? It might be time to pick it up and start beating down the whack-a-mole things as these things keep popping up. Use that to just smash down some of that crap. I'm just checking the messages here. Yeah, I mean, I know that it's, it was a mistake on my part. I was deceived and then refed the information. And it was such an effective propaganda campaign that it was filtering out through people. And I was getting confirmation by a bunch of other people who had also been deceived. And some of them, I'm certain, were not just deceived, but they were at the beginning of the information chain and created this whole thing. When I'm looking back on it now and I'm analyzing it and seeing where it came from and how it worked, no, it wasn't just a mistake. It was a concerted effort to create more disruption. That is the objective. So that's the way it is, man. So I needed to come clean on that. And I mean, unlikely you would get that kind of retraction or apology from anyone in the mainstream media at any time. But I'm going to own it. I'm going to own it. Difficult times. Stay with me. I'll be right back.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So we keep hearing about Chinese interference in the Canadian electoral process, about Chinese Communist Party money finding its way into the political system, into potentially the campaigns of some Canadian politicians. We're hearing about Chinese police stations. We just saw a Chinese diplomat expelled from the country. This is an issue that the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, is wrestling with day to day now. It's eroding or chipping away at the Teflon that he's been wearing like a suit of armor since assuming office back in 2015. And also seeing new evidence about the Biden family dealings in China and abroad today. The GOP oversight, the House Oversight Committee, has revealed that 9 Biden family members received wire transfers from foreign nationals via shell companies. Hunter Biden, James Biden, Sarah Biden, Hallie Biden, Kathleen Biden, Melissa Biden, 2 nieces or nephews, and there was a grandchild as well, listed in documents that were cited today during a news conference held by the House Oversight Committee, GOP. And they held a press conference. And we're going to roll some of that for you right now. All of this very concerning. You know, everything seems to keep circling back to China, and not just through the media, but through documents, through the Hunter Biden laptop, through evidence. And that's what we're seeing more of here today. Here's the press conference. Here we go.
All right. Thank you all for coming today. Since taking the gavel in January, the Committee on Oversight and Accountability has accelerated its investigation of the Biden family's domestic and international business practices that we began last Congress. I want to be clear. This committee is investigating President Biden and his family's shady business deals that capitalize on Joe Biden's public office and risked our country's national security. This committee has a duty to ask questions and pursue the facts, no matter where they take us. Through the committee's investigation, we intend to provide transparency to the American people and reach legislative solutions. In only 4 months since obtaining subpoena authority, we have made astonishing progress. Today, we'll talk about that progress. First, we want to discuss information the committee has learned since our last press conference in November. New information investigators have uncovered regarding the transfer of money from foreign entities to the Biden family. Many of the wire payments occurred while Joe Biden was vice president and leading the United States efforts in these countries. First instance, while Vice President Biden was lecturing Romania on anti-corruption policies, in reality, he was a walking billboard for his son and family to collect money. Hunter Biden and his associates capitalized on a lucrative financial relationship with the Romanian national who was under investigation for and later convicted of corruption in Romania. The Bidens received over $1 million for the deal, and 16 of the 17 payments to their associates' account that funneled the Biden's money occurred while Joe Biden was vice president. In fact, the money stops flowing from the Romanian national soon after Joe Biden leaves the vice presidency. This is a pattern of influence peddling. This appears separate from any payment Hunter received from his work connecting this individual to a U.S. law firm. We'll also provide further information regarding the Biden's relationship with China. This includes 2 individuals the committee is particularly concerned about. One of them, Xi Jinping, had close ties to the highest levels of the Chinese Communist Party and operated a multi-billion-dollar energy company with access to large sums of money. We'll discuss how the Bidens received millions of dollars from this individual through the use of shell companies and wire transfers. In March, the committee released its first bank records memorandum that showed a Biden associate, Rob Walker, used his company to funnel money from the Chinese to various Biden family members. Democrats dismissed the evidence, even though it was based on bank records directly from the bank. The Democrats on the Oversight Committee received the same records as the Republicans, and they were able to verify the information. Democrats said all the bank records showed were Papa John's and Starbucks receipts. They deliberately chose to misconstrue and deny what was clearly in front of them. Hunter Biden's representatives claimed the money was, quote, good faith seed funds, but could not explain why those funds had to go through an intermediary in what appears to be an attempt to hide the transfers from the Chinese. They also couldn't explain why the Bidens received over $1 million in 16 different wire transfers over a period of 3 months to at least 5 different banks. The president, when confronted with this information, said it wasn't true. Instead of being honest with the American people, President Biden has claimed since the 2020 election that his family has not received money from China. That was a lie in 2020, and he continues to lie to the American people now. The Bidens have received millions of dollars from China. It is inconceivable that the president did not know it. The White House refuses to correct the president's statements, showing the president is now using the federal government to run interference for his families and his own role in these schemes. Now I want to say a few remarks about the developments last week. A week ago, I sent a subpoena to the FBI for a form that a whistleblower has alleged is in the FBI's possession. We hope the FBI will be transparent and forthcoming and provide the Oversight Committee with the 1023 form we have subpoenaed. If they do, the committee will assess the form it has subpoenaed from the FBI, and has been my practice. We will report to you only facts when they are verified and indisputable. This committee will not pursue witch hunts or string the American people along for years with false promises of evidence that is beyond circumstantial evidence, as Representative Adam Schiff and the Democrats did for years. I trust the whistleblower. A subpoena from this committee is a powerful tool that I do not take lightly. The level of detail provided to Senator Grassley led me to conclude a subpoena was warranted, and I stand by that assessment. I will say this. When Senator Grassley approached me with the information the whistleblower provided, it was because of the information we've learned through this committee's own investigation that indicated to me the whistleblower's allegations are consistent with our independent findings. Those findings are what I called you here today to discuss. The committee has reviewed thousands of bank records from individuals and companies affiliated with the Bidens and their associates. It has received these bank records pursuant to 4 subpoenas I've issued to different banks. These were targeted and specific subpoenas, and each was different based on the information we believed the banks possessed. Every one of those subpoenas returned valuable information that had been unreported and that contributed to this committee's understanding of how the Bidens conducted their businesses. The committee is concerned by the complicated, suspicious network of over 20 companies we have identified the Bidens and their associates used to enrich themselves. Most of these companies were limited liability companies formed during Joe Biden's vice presidency. The bank records show the Biden family, their associates, and their companies received over $10 million from foreign nationals and their companies. Some of that money came from a Chinese company and went to Hunter Biden's company. Other transfers occurred with the help of Rob Walker, who then sent it on to different Biden family members. This is not how lawful businesses operate. Chinese nationals affiliated with the Bidens created limited liability companies in the United States, and then in a short period of time transferred their interest to a Chinese company that sent money to the Bidens. This is not normal. Hunter Biden and his associates courted business in countries that correlated directly with Joe Biden's work as vice president. This is also not normal. It is not ethical. And this is why we need legislative solutions. Our purpose here is to provide legislative solutions to prevent this unethical behavior from ever happening again. This investigation is about investigating allegations of corruption and fraud at the highest levels of the federal government. This should be a bipartisan issue. This committee is considering legislation that would ensure these sorts of business practices do not continue for Democrats or Republicans. Specifically, the committee is crafting legislative solutions aimed at deficiencies it has identified in ethics laws and disclosure laws for immediate family members of vice president and the president. These deficiencies potentially place American national security and American interest at risk. Additionally, the committee is considering legislation that would strengthen reporting requirements related to certain foreign transactions involving senior elected officials' family members. Finally, the committee is evaluating the Bank Secrecy Act and anti-money laundering laws to determine whether financial institutions have the available tools and support from federal agencies to thwart illegal money laundering and foreign corruption activity. As I said, I'm very pleased with the progress the committee is making in this investigation. However, due to the information we're releasing today and further developments the committee is aware of, the investigation will enter a new phase now that is armed with information obtained in the bank records. I will soon issue a new round of subpoenas to banks for specific targeted information. I will also provide one more opportunity for certain Biden associates, including his art gallerist and Rob Walker, to cooperate willingly with this investigation. Finally, I'm publicly releasing the second bank accounts memorandum to the American people so they can see for themselves the activities the Biden family is engaged in, despite the president's statements to the contrary. I want to thank the people and financial institutions that have cooperated with this investigation so far. I also want to encourage more people to come forward and let them know that their information will be kept private and confidential. To my Democrat colleagues, I want to say that this investigation will continue to move forward. Do you want to continue covering up the Biden's influence peddling schemes when the evidence is being placed right in front of you? With or without Democrat support, we will continue working to deliver the answers, transparency, and accountability that the American people deserve. I now turn to Andy Biggs, who will provide some information.
Thank you, Chairman Comer. We appreciate your leadership on this very, very significant issue to the direction of this country. And we appreciate your leadership and appreciate my colleagues who are here today.
We're
And
going to
also
stay with this
the great
because I
staff
think
that
this
has done
is
such incredible work on behalf of this committee in
pretty
reviewing these
revealing.
records and helping us
should
to
be getting a lot more
report.
attention.
And thank you to those of you who are here from the media today. So when we talk about the Biden family and associates, I think it's important for the American people to understand what we mean when we're talking about these associates. What are we really getting at? First, they use them as vehicles to move money directly into Biden family accounts. Why is that? It's because they were looking to obfuscate and hide where the money was coming from. For example, the Bidens used their associate Rob Walker to bring in millions of dollars from China and Romania. Walker's limited liability company, Robinson Walker LLC, paid Hunter, James, Hallie, and others in the Biden network more than $2 million after foreign money hit his account. 1/3 to the Bidens. That was the pattern. For example, on March 1st, 2017, only 2 months after Joe Biden left office, Robinson Walker received a $3 million wire from State Energy HK Limited, a Chinese entity. The next day, 1/3 of that money, $1,065,000, went to the bank account in Abu Dhabi of the company EEIG, which was controlled by James Gilliat, another Biden associate. Over the next 3 months, Robinson Walker LLC sent 16 incremental payments to over 5 different Biden accounts totaling $1,065,692. This included payments to James Biden, who received 5 wires and over $50,000, who did no discernible work to earn that money. 1/3 to Gilliar, 1/3 to the Bidens. What was State Energy HK Limited? That is a second class of Biden associates, the people from whom the Bidens conducted business. State Energy HK Limited was a company controlled by Yi Jianming. Yi was a Chinese billionaire who was reportedly the former Deputy Secretary Counsel for an international outreach arm for the People's Liberation Army. It's called the China Association for International Friendly Contact. According to a U.S. agency, that organization is a platform for deploying undercover intelligence gatherers. Chairman Yi started an energy company called CEFC, China. Yi explained in a speech to the committee that the committee has obtained and translated into English that CEFC China's vision is very simple. It is to obtain overseas resources and serve the national strategy, not U.S. national strategy, Chinese national strategy. And Chinese national strategy is Chinese Communist Party's strategy. Yi was close to Chinese President Xi Jinping and welcomed at least one foreign president to Beijing with Xi. The DOJ has referenced Yi and CEFC in a scheme bribing African leaders. The other Chinese national I'll mention now is Gong Wendong, who did work for Yi in America. When Yi needed to do business in America, he often looked to Gong Wendong. The amount of money Yi was sending to Gong Wendong was staggering. From June through August of 2017 alone, Yi transferred to Gong Wendong in America more than $130 million. Yi met with Hunter Biden in February 2017 and gave him a diamond reportedly worth tens of thousands of dollars as a gift. Wow. In August of 2017, Yi, through Gong Wendong, opened up a business with Hunter and James Biden called Hudson West 3, based here in Washington, D.C. And Hunter wanted to get Joe Biden's keys to the office, and they could all share office space together, according to an email verified by the Washington Post. But things didn't go as planned because the Chinese detained Yi in March of 2018 for fraud. In an email to Gong Wendong and another associate, Hunter tried to explain away the last year of doing business together. This is an email that has also been verified by the Washington Post. Hunter wrote, and I quote, I am not in a joint venture with CEFC. I'm not partners with CEFC, and I'm not employed nor funded by CEFC, close quote. But Hunter was funded by CEFC, as Ms. Mace will explain. I'm extremely concerned about the president's connections to these individuals he was supposedly meant to share office space with and is denied knowing anything about these transactions and these business dealings, and also is denied receiving any money for himself or his family from Chinese connections. That has been proven to be a lie. And I'll yield back to Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaks. Next, we have Ms. Mace.
Thank you, Chairman Comer, for your leadership. In less than 100 days of subpoena power, this has been one of the most in-depth investigations the House Oversight Committee has ever had in recent history. And I would hope that the media here today would put as much attention and interest and focus on this as they have a former president. For years, the left has said, no one is above the law. Well, put your money where your mouth is and prove that, because the American people do not trust the federal government. They don't trust Congress. They don't even trust current presidents because of the kind of possible and alleged corruption that we see at every level of government, and no one is ever held to account. I try to call the balls and strikes regardless of whether or not you have an R or a D by your name. I've been accused, all of us have been, over this particular issue that we're conspiracy theorists. We're not. What we're proving to you today is showing you actual bank records, actual evidence of shell companies and businesses, or more businesses and more Bidens involved that we knew of. You have to issue more subpoenas because every time we turn over a rock, there's more information, there's more possible corruption, there's more possible allegations that need to be investigated. This is what we know today. Money flowed from the Chinese Communist Party, aligned with individuals into American shell companies, and then that money was wired and transferred to Biden family members. This could be the most corrupt scheme in American politics, where a sitting vice president, where we saw members of his family, 9 members so far, there may be more, that were enriched from countries all over the world. And we're providing more information about Romania today. We know about China. We know that the president denied this during an election in 2020, continues to deny it to this day. And we want everyone held accountable if they have violated their oath of office. We shouldn't have folks that are in office that are betraying their oath of office. We shouldn't have people in office that are betraying their country. If they're paying loads of cash to their family members from adversaries of ours around the world, it's wrong, whether you have a Republican or a Democrat by your name. And we saw evidence of intentionally taking steps to hide the sources of money coming directly from China through a series of financial gymnastics. Joe Biden's political career was winding down at the time, and this was one of the Biden family's last chances to cash in on the name. We have evidence of Chairman Yi Jinping, who is believed to be affiliated with Chinese Communist Party intelligence organizations and has even been accused of gathering intel for communist China. Yi started CEFC in China. His agent in America, Gong Wendong, which Andy Biggs mentioned earlier, formed CEFC Infrastructure Investment US on May 11th, 2017. On May 18th of 2017, Dong used one of his Chinese companies, Huaxin, to fund CEFC infrastructure in an attempt to hide the source of the money. And you see this pattern repeated over and over and over again. On June 30th, 2017, Shanghai Huaxin sent $10 million from China to CEFC infrastructure. Then in August 4th, 2017, CEFC infrastructure wired $100,000 directly to Hunter Biden's own corporation, Owasco PC. Hunter's Owasco also received $500,000 from another entity affiliated with Yi, State Energy HK Limited. State Energy HK appears to be part of Yi's personal slush fund that potentially commit bribery and launder money. The Chinese Communist Party affiliated entities may have bought influence with the Bidens that they couldn't get otherwise, and obviously for good reason. These alleged layering schemes are repetitive. They knew what they were doing, they knew how to do it, and they did it multiple times all over the world. If it looks complicated and sounds complicated, it was intentionally made to be complicated so you could not follow the money. What we're trying to do today is show you how to follow the money. The Committee of Oversight, we need to pursue the Chinese relationship with the Serbian politician Vuk Jeremic, who first attempted to introduce Yi to the Bidens in 2015. From August 2015 to June of 2016, State Energy HK paid Jeremic's company $3 million. When Jeremick ran for UN Security General, who did he turn to? It appears he turned to Hunter Biden. On June 16, 2016, Jeremick wrote to Hunter asking if he could meet with the Vice President's National Security Advisor, Colin Kahl, related to the elections for UN Security General. The meeting appears to have happened because on July 2nd, 2016, Jeremick informed Hunter that my meeting, quote, with Colin did not last very long, but it didn't go too bad, I think. What is suboptimal is that the office of the vice president seems to be outside the decision-making loop on the UN Security General elections issue. These people didn't come to Hunter Biden because he understood world politics or that he was experienced in it or that he understood Chinese businesses. They wanted him for the access his last name gave them. Access to the Chinese Communist Party they couldn't otherwise get. In March of 2017, the same Chinese company that sent $3 million to Vuk Jeremick sent $3 million to one of Biden's associates, who siphoned off 30%. As Amy Biggs mentioned, we see that repeated over and over again, siphoned off 30% or $1 million to Hunter Biden, James Biden, Hallie Biden, why she would need that, and an unknown Biden bank account. The committee has written to Vuk Jeremick and Rob Walker, but they have both refused to cooperate with the Oversight Committee. The Biden family needs to answer for this, and the DOJ needs to get off its ass and investigate. We've done the work for them so that they can't screw it up now. If these allegations, any of these allegations are proven true, then someone with the last name Biden needs to be charged, prosecuted, maybe spend a little time in prison to take to account and responsible for the actions they've taken today. Also, as mentioned by the chairman, I want to thank you. The legislative priorities we have of our committee, this is not a witch hunt. This is not a conspiracy theory. If there are anti-corruption laws that need to be made stronger, we will also do that. I appreciate your time today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Representative Armstrong.
Well, thank you, Chairman Comer, and thanks for everybody for all the hard work.
Again, we're going to stick with
One of
this.
the common responses we
It's
hear
not
about
getting
this
nearly enough
investigation
media
is that it all
attention.
happened after Joe Biden left office. But that is not true. I'm going to detail a specific set of payments made to members of the Biden family from Gabriel Popovich during Joe Biden's time as vice president. The committee has obtained the bank records for one of the companies of a close Biden associate, Rob Walker. Walker used his company, Robinson Walker LLC, to receive money from foreign companies. He then sent the money to various Bidens, including Hunter Biden, James Biden, Hallie Biden, and another Biden account. Walker's LLC received 17 payments from Bladen Enterprises Limited. The first payment was made in November of 2015, and the last payment happened in May of 2017. 16 of the 17 payments occurred while Joe Biden was vice president. Bladen Enterprises is affiliated with Romanian businessman Gabriel Popovich. Popovich is a Romanian businessman who, at the time of these payments, was subject of a high-profile corruption investigation. In fact, he was convicted of one such obstruction charge in 2016. Popovich's company paid Walker LLC just over $3 million. And like clockwork, Walker dispersed approximately $1 million of that money to the Bidens. If that sounds familiar, it should. It's essentially the same structure Walker and the Biden family had with the Chinese money, a 1/3 cut. So what were the vice president's duties related to Romania at this time? Well, in May of 2014, Vice President Biden visited Romania and delivered a speech about corruption, saying it can represent a clear and present danger, not only to a nation's economy, but to its very national security. And in September of 2015, Vice President Biden welcomed the Romanian president to the White House, and they spoke about anti-corruption policies. 5 weeks later, after the White House meeting, Rob Walker's company's bank accounts began receiving payments from Popovich's company. Walker then sent a portion of each installment payment to Hunter Biden's business, Owasco, and another company, EEIG, which was owned by close Hunter Biden associate James Gilliard. Another Biden bank account that Hunter claims is his, and in one case, $10,000 to Hallie Biden. Let's be clear. The $3 million sent to Rob Walker and dispersed to the Biden family appears completely separate and distinct from legal work performed by the law firm associated with Hunter Biden. This is simply not how legal fees are paid. I spent 10 years collecting legal fees. Nobody would pay or receive payments this way. It makes absolutely no sense. And again, the structure is the same as the Chinese payments. If it's for legal fees, why are the deals the same? In fact, it's very hard to come up with any legitimate business reason to conduct transactions in this type of complex way. Why would separate payments go to Hunter Biden's business and to himself individually? Why would Walker transfer money from his business account to his personal account before distributing the money? Why are other Biden family receiving any of these payments? We need to understand more about this $3 million deal, but it's clear that the pattern shows two separate foreign countries paid millions of dollars through Walker, of which the Biden family received a 1/3 cut. These payments.
I know that it
timing,
might be a little bit
complexity of the
dry for
money
some
transfer
people, but
transactions
we're
all
talking about the
warrant further
president of the United
investigation
States
into a
here,
possible
folks.
influencing peddling
And they're laying
This
this
is
all out
simply
in
not how
detail with
legitimate
documents,
business is done.
numbers,
The fact that
evidence.
Vice President Joe Biden was lecturing the Romanian people about corruption while his family was being paid over $1 million from a Romanian businessman who was being prosecuted for corruption would be laughable if it wasn't so troubling. Long time ago, I had a client got stopped.
And that is where I think we're going with this
$50,000
too,
in cash,
D.
11 burner phones, and a bunch of pawn shop money tickets in his car. And when he came in to see me, and I took him as a
What's
client, I
going
said,
on
"Do
in
you have a
Canada?
problem?"
This is why I think it's so
That is
important
easy to
too,
understand.
because
Financial transactions amongst 17 different shell companies, banks all over the world.
what do we have going on in Canada right
We
now?
get it,
Talk about
But the pattern
Chinese
is emerging, and
influence.
there's no reason
money.
legitimate businesses.
Look
ever
at what
ever
this
do
is.
that.
You know, look at what is going on here. Then look what is going on in Canada. There's a pattern. Look at what's going on with our country. Look at the way
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for being here, everybody. Look, a couple things. First, what we're
it's
seeing
becoming
here, what we're
clearer
witnessing
every day.
with
What's
the
happening?
Biden family, frankly, is just a web of concealment, of deception. A lot of people would say corruption. But let's be very clear. You have this many companies involved, this velocity of transactions, size of transactions. Like my colleagues have said, this is not how normal businesses operate. I had the ability with Chairman Comer and other members of the committee to go over to the Treasury building and review documents. And having read those documents, one thing became pretty crystal clear that there were many people who had serious questions about the transactions and about the velocity of these transactions. And they either get very, very deep into concealment, hiding money, shifting money. And for the purpose, we don't know, because one thing everybody in this room and the American people definitely know is that the Biden family doesn't really have a business. There is no business structure around this family except politics. And since Joe Biden has spent decades in the Senate, served 8 years as vice president, and is now president of the United States, and the family's getting money from various countries and foreign businesses through various shell companies and this web of LLCs. I mean, guys, you in the press, this is easy pickings. I'm giving you Pulitzer stuff here. Like, all you have to do is literally look at our memo and see the level of detail upon which they have created this. And it's very, very frustrating. We have now been able to clearly see that the Biden's associates, like Rob Walker, Eric Sherman, has been discussed, created at least 16 companies while Joe Biden was vice president of the United States. 16 companies created while he was vice president. Now the list is 20. And as we continue our investigation, that list is growing. And like I said before, the question is, to serve what purpose? And the purpose of all these companies being created is to conceal money that the Biden family has been gaining because Joe Biden has been sitting at the upper echelon of our politics for almost 5 decades. That is the entire purpose here. Here's an example of what I mean. You have Rosemont Seneca Partners, Rosemont Seneca Advisors, Rosemont Seneca Technology Partners, RSP Holdings, RSTP2 Alpha, RSTP2 Bravo, Rosemont Seneca Thornton, Rosemont Seneca Bohai. I want to make sure I pronounce it right. Bohai, B-O-H-A-I. And the list goes on and on. Cycling through this many companies serves no legitimate purpose. And as somebody who actually worked in banking, I did that long before I came here. Whenever there was like this many companies just laying all over the place, and you see wire transfers, cashier checks over here, going to random members of the family for no apparent purpose, at the size and velocity at which all of this was being conducted, the only logical conclusion of a financial professional is you are concealing money. Let me restate this. You are concealing money from either the IRS or from credit agencies or from other people in general. That's the only reason you set up a structure like this. Some of these companies were connected to Hunter's personal professional company, Oswego, or Skinny Atlas, Scale Atlas, however you want to pronounce it. And the list goes on. And Mr. Biggs, he talked about Hudson West 3 and some of those other issues that were going on as well. One thing I want to make sure is that all of this has happened and Joe Biden is aware. Nobody in this room can logically sit here and say that the president of the United States had no idea that these companies were being formed while he was vice president of the United States. And I will add you, he was probably in better mental shape then than he is today. I'll throw that out there. And so what this committee is going to continue to do is pursue this investigation. We are going to continue to document, and we're going to provide that information to all of you in the press. So to help you, and frankly, like Congresswoman May said, and probably help the DOJ along with their investigation. One quick note, it's interesting that the Department of Justice has been investigating Hunter Biden for quite some time. And we seem to just never really get anywhere. And so I think that's also interesting as well. I wonder what's going on at the Department of Justice. But that being said, the bottom line is there is no real business here. None. And let me also say this, because I know there are many in this room who wanted to go down all the various schemes that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle accused the former president of. Be very clear. The former president actually had a business, very big business. You could say it was his name. You could say it was his buildings. You could say it was wine. You could say it was branding. You could say it was The Apprentice. But he had a very big and legitimate business, which everybody in this room clearly knows and understands and can point to and say, that's the thing, that thing over there. Joe Biden has no business except his position in politics. And it is the requirement of this committee to investigate that. We're going to continue to do that, and we're going to let the facts speak for themselves. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let's do Representative Jordan.
Suspicious activity reports. The key word in that phrase is the word suspicious. There are 170 of those reports, many of them put together by the Treasury Department of our government in the Obama-Biden administration. So 170 of those that the committee has reviewed, thousands of pages of bank records the committee has reviewed, and that has told us that there are now multiple, as Mr. Donald just said, multiple LLCs receiving money from foreign entities and paying that money out to multiple members of the Biden family. And the fundamental question is the one Byron just raised. For what? What did they do? What was the business? What service did they provide? What value did they add? What did they do to warrant receipt of the money? That is the fundamental question, and no one seems to have an answer to that fundamental question. But Mr. Comer, Chairman Comer, and the team, that's what we're looking into, trying to get. And I would just say this too, why not just come clean? Why not just be honest with us? Why not tell us the truth? But I would say this, I think it's a pattern with this administration. They haven't been square with us, straight with the American people about anything. They tell us the border is secure. We know it isn't. They tell us our debt ceiling bill is going to hurt veterans. No, it doesn't. Joe Biden said during the campaign that the letter from 51 former intel officials, when he used it in the debate, he portrayed it as if it was organic. And we now know through another investigation that we're all working on that, in fact, it was coordinated. That letter from 51 former intel officials was coordinated with the Biden campaign. So much so, the Biden campaign told Mike Morrell, here's the journalist we want you to have the story to, the letter to first. Why not just be straight with us? Why not come clean? Why not tell us the truth? Tell the American people the truth. They deserve that from their government. Again, the fundamental question is, what did they do to warrant the receipt of millions and millions of dollars? Why did Joe Biden's brother? Why did Joe Biden's sister-in-law? Why did Joe Biden's son? Why did so many family members get the money? What did they do to warrant receipt of that money? That's the fundamental question. Chairman Comer and the team have done great work, and they're determined to get answers to those fundamental questions.
I want to thank the committee. I want to thank the staff for all the time pouring through these documents. Now we would like to entertain questions, and I want to begin with the fourth largest newspaper in the state, who I read somewhere was banned from the White House, but we'll start with the New York Post. You're always welcome here.
I'd like to ask you two questions. First, about investigative next steps, and secondly, about the FBI informant file that you were seeking. Regarding next steps, you produced a significant amount of information so far about foreign income to the president's family. No doubt there's going to be more to come. Are you going to be able to prove the central thesis that President
Can't really hear these questions. We may, I'll let this roll through this one, but we'll probably move on after this.
And secondly, on the FBI informant file, are you going to be is there any evidence that President Biden is involved with anything else?
Well, first of all, with respect to President Biden, I don't think anyone in America who's watching C-SPAN or any other network that's covering this would think that it's just a coincidence that 9 Biden family members have received money for this influence peddling scheme. I mean, what as Representative Jordan and the other speakers said, what business is there? The media has always said 2 things. First of all, the media have said, many in the media have said that no transactions happened while Joe Biden was vice president. We've proven that wrong. Joe Biden said during 2020 that his family never took any money from China. Today, we've proven that wrong, and you have it in your memorandum, the bank transfers. So we believe that the president has been involved in this from the very beginning, obviously. We're going to continue to look. There are, what we've cited today and what we're updating you with today, 4 banks. Those result from 4 banks. We believe there are 12 banks. So right now, you could say that we're in the beginning stages of this investigation, but many of you wrote, I read your stories, many of you wrote, not the New York Post, but many of you wrote that we would never get access to bank records because that's what the White House told you. And they said we'd never have access to the Treasury because that's what the White House and Jamie Raskin told you. But we have the bank records. We're going to get more bank records. We just got the bank records from going through the associates. We knew there were people that were wiring money, that were accepting the initial payments from our adversaries around the world. And then they were funneling the money to the Bidens through various LLCs. So we got the bank records through the back door. And we can tell you from the people that we're meeting with that were involved with many of the schemes that we're pretty confident that the president was very knowledgeable of what his family was doing. You've seen pictures with these people. You've seen meetings. You've seen instances where the president took his son on trips during the last year of his vice presidency. And every account prior to today said, but none of those transactions happened while he was vice president. And we just laid out that 16 of the 17 payments to the Bidens from Romania occurred while Joe Biden was vice president. With the second question with respect to the FBI, this is Senator Grassley's whistleblower. I've reviewed the transcript. We have given the FBI until noon today to provide that document, that very specific document. And we're going to let the ball be in the FBI's court. And then Senator Grassley and I, if the FBI for some reason does not comply with our subpoena, then Senator Grassley and I will discuss the next step. Next question.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Mark tax stuff. Yeah, there's been a number of scandals.
Again, can't hear the questions.
You just said it during the beginning stages. But I wonder if you.
Okay. I think we've seen enough. So where does this leave us? Numbers don't lie. The paper trail doesn't lie. The documents are real. We know that they're real. We've confirmed that. And yet tonight, the mainstream media largely not reporting on this. I'm not seeing it in the headlines on any of the major U.S. networks. I'm not seeing it in any of the headlines online. I'm not seeing it reported on the Canadian side either. It just isn't getting any traction. A little bit of news, journalists there, but those guys writing these stories about this today, not really ranking, not being given profile. They're suppressing this information again. We saw it happen when Hunter Biden's laptop story came out. Oh, that was supposed to be Russian misinformation. a Russian propaganda campaign. And in reality, it was the opposite. It's getting to the point where if someone's telling you something is true, it's probably misinformation. And if they're telling you it's misinformation from a foreign government, it's probably true. Everything is so upside down. You don't know what to believe anymore. And it isn't just what you're being told, it's what they choose to suppress, what they choose to not tell you. And that's the case with this. That's why I let that run so long. This information needs to get out there. This is bombshell stuff. He's quite right. This is all the kind of information that a journalist in the before times would have used to write front page news for weeks. Information that a journalist would have used to take down a president of the United States. This is, I think, bigger than freaking Watergate. And yet the media doesn't want to talk about it. We should be talking about it. I can't believe, honestly, that Biden is sitting in the White House with all the information that was out there, even though the media was doing its best to suppress the information about the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. The information was still out there for anyone who chose to look. But so many are so willfully blind, they choose to not see or hear. And I don't know how far this will go, but we've presented it here. We've done what we can in our own very, very, very small way to get this information out tonight. In a very short period of time, Donald Trump will be participating in a CNN town hall. And he's heading into this in the wake of being found criminally liable for sexual, what are they calling it? It's not rape. It's it just seems so strange to me what the jury came back with yesterday, in that it was supposed to be a rape trial for Donald Trump. And yet they came back and he was liable, like not libel as in libel and slander, but liable. He is responsible for some sort of sexual misconduct, touching or something. So they said he has to pay this woman $5 million for that and for defamation. And again, is that real or is that political theater? The jury was out for about 3 hours. They came back with that verdict, and that's apparently what he's, it's sexual battery, I guess. Thank you, Dadgy. Yeah. It just doesn't ring true for me. And he says he doesn't even know who the woman is. Although I have to say that Donald Trump, sometimes he doesn't do himself any favor in the choice of words that he comes out with. You know, his defense is, well, she's not my type. Like, what? That's not exactly, if you were to testify in that manner in court, I don't think that would constitute much of a full defense. She's not my type. But I guess if you're not guilty, that might just be the kind of thing you would actually say, because it's like, what are you talking about? I don't even know this woman. And it just, the whole thing, a lot of this just seems like political theater. And to some people, maybe this whole thing with Biden tonight, maybe they view that as political theater, as just a political hit job, but they have documents. They have a paper trail. They have the evidence from Hunter Biden's laptop. They have the numbers, like the dollar figures, the bank records. How much more evidence do people need? And yet millions of people will still go to the polls and they will still vote for this guy in the next election if he is able to hang in there long enough to actually go through the election. I can't imagine what it would be like for him or for the country or for the world if he were to be reelected and serve another 4 years, especially given his level of mental acuity. I just can't believe that this is where we're at. This guy's the leader of the free world, or what's supposed to be free. Crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. And so, as I say, Donald Trump, in about a half an hour, actually, will be participating in a CNN town hall. I don't even know why he would. Well, I guess he gets coverage. I guess he gets exposure, but they're not friendly to him. I can't imagine what it's going to be like. Now, the people in the audience will be Democrats and Republicans, mainly MAGA people, I think, and handpicked, asking questions, along with undecided voters tonight. So it won't be a terribly hostile crowd, but it's still CNN, and they are no fan. I guess with the bans that he has endured on social media, he needs to get his face out in front as much as he can. So there he goes over to CNN tonight. Here's Donald Trump on Truth Social talking about exactly that. This is a clip issued just a short time ago in preparation for tonight's CNN town hall.
I'll be doing CNN tonight live from the great state of New Hampshire because CNN is rightfully desperate to get those fantastic Trump ratings back. They were ratings like none other, and they want them back. They made me a deal I couldn't refuse. Could be the beginning of a new and vibrant CNN with no more fake news, or it could be a total disaster for all, including me. Let's see what happens tonight at 8 o'clock.
That's in half an hour. So we're not going to pick that up because it's a CNN broadcast and it will absolutely be copyrighted. We might get clips of it later and run some of that stuff, but we're not going to be in a position to run that stuff live here. So we'll see how that goes for Trump tonight. I don't think it'll be a disaster. He's always able to hold his own. He's funny. They want him back because they want Trump ratings. There's probably truth in that. There's probably truth in that. Yeah. Funny. Let's take a break and we'll come back. And I'll wrap up with a final comment on the Biden thing and relate it over to Trudeau. And then we'll move on to other news tonight. Stay with me.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
So I just wanted to make sort of a last comment about all of this foreign influence peddling, money flowing from foreign governments to the Biden family, allegedly through these bank accounts. We're seeing they have bank records. You know, if you just step back, you take a wider look at the whole situation, and you're seeing in Canada. You see now these investigations about Chinese money flowing to politicians, allegations of allegedly flowing to politicians, allegations of Chinese intimidation directed at politicians. You're seeing, you go back and you look at, remember that quote, that clip that was circulating, it's still out there, of Justin Trudeau, that he admires China's basic dictatorship. And then you look at what happened over the past 3 years with this pandemic. Donald Trump calling it the China virus. You know, the president of the United States has information that we don't have. I don't think that he was just going off, if you, for lack of a better phrase, half cocked on that. He has information. China, 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 all these China connections. It's not the Chinese people. It's not even just, Chinese companies, but certainly the Chinese government has been engaging in a new kind of warfare. And we are absolutely at war with China. We're at war with Russia. We're at war with the BRICS nations. We're in a state of world war. This is the third world war. It's just being waged in a completely different way. And people are not recognizing what is going on. They don't see it. And China, I think, has been the smartest, and Russia maybe too. Why drop a bunch of bombs and spend a bunch of money on weapons to destroy something that you are really kind of trying to influence or maybe even take over, when all you have to do is put a little cash into the pockets of some people in order to control them, people in places of influence? The next thing you know, they're doing your bidding and you're in charge anyway. So why do you have to run in there with guns and fight some sort of a kinetic war? And then look at the impact that it's been having on our society. It all starts to make sense. Now, am I really afraid of the Chinese government? I'm not really afraid of them, but I think I'm seeing kind of what's going on. I don't think that they're entirely in control at this point, but there certainly is influence. And I think there's probably more influence in Canada, maybe than there is even in the US. But I'm beginning to wonder. You have Biden, Trudeau, globalist ideology running all through their administrations, their regimes. We're seeing now what? Investigations into the flow of money from China or the Chinese government, Chinese entities, possibly to the Biden family, an investigation into that. We're seeing investigations in Canada, a parallel here. We saw during the pandemic the approach taken in North America, around the world, really. It was all a mirror reaction. Well, not even a mirrored reaction, because it's not the opposite. It was, they used China as sort of the lead, as the example of how we were going to respond to the pandemic, didn't we? Well, the governments did. China started with lockdowns. We got lockdowns over here. Masks, we're all in on masks. At first we weren't, and then we were. The approach, it started in China and then out to the rest of the world. China emerging as a global power. China emerging as even the peacemaker, the peace leader in the world. Possibly, on the cusp of brokering even a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. Not the United States. It's pretty clear that the United States is on the decline. It's a nation in decline. Thank you very much, Joe Biden. China's on the rise. And they play the long game, don't they? And we're seeing this corruption. And I guess that's all it took, right? It in a way, though, it gives me hope, because I think that this is really the beginning of a process that will expose the corruption in such a way that we might be able to fix some of these problems. You may recall that several months ago, I said that the real solution to a lot of these problems is more financial transparency required. Make it mandatory for members of parliament or politicians in the US as well to make their financial records public. And put strict regulations or maybe even prohibit the use of offshore bank accounts. We want to know where all their money is coming from. If they're going to be in a position of power and of public trust, then we should know exactly where their money is coming from and going to. They want to saddle us with central bank digital currency and track us and track every transaction that we make. They want to know everything that we do. They want to be able to control us. It should be the other way around. We need legislation in place. We need rules, laws that make it mandatory for them to reveal every damn penny that they are paid. Every single penny. Track it all the time. They don't deserve any privacy in that regard if they're going to hold those positions. Because why? Because of exactly what we're seeing in this news conference today with Biden. We want to know. I want to know how much Trudeau is worth. I want to know where he gets his money. I want to know if there are any foreign dealings. I want to know if there's any influence, not just for him, but for every politician out there. You want to run for public office, then you're in the public and you are in the public eye. And we want to know what's in your bank account. We want to know where your money's coming from. Well, now we know with the Biden family, don't we? Where a lot of this money was coming from because they have a paper trail. And it's embarrassing. This is a liability for him heading into the next election. This is like pretty cut and dried. Here's a document that shows the money here. It came from here. It came from here. We know this, and you could draw the lines, and you know exactly how it happened. And yet people will still go to the polls and still vote for the guy. Because the mainstream media is just not even talking about it tonight. Just like with the laptop. And in Canada, hopefully we get a little more transparency. We get to the bottom of things a little bit better. Tonight, too, on the Canadian front, while we're talking about Canada, another brief story. They've changed the Canadian passports. They've changed the images. Some people not happy about it, especially veterans. Here's the leader of the official opposition, Pierre, conservative, putting Justin Trudeau on the hot seat in the House of Commons during question period.
Of whatever the side is. The honorable leader of the opposition from the top, please.
This is the new passport they're so excited about, Mr. Speaker. They erased Vimy Ridge to put in an image of a squirrel eating a nut. They erased Terry Fox, a guy who ran halfway across the country to fight cancer, to put in a man raking leaves. And they erased Quebec City in order to put in what appears to be an image of a boyhood prime minister swimming at Harrington Lake. Could this prime minister be any more out of touch with Canadians?
The right honorable prime minister. Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives are trying to pick fights here in the House, we're focused on delivering for Canadians. As we move forward with the Budget Implementation Act that's protecting homeowners with anti-house flipping measures, as we're stepping up on...
I'm going to interrupt the right honorable prime minister. It seems to be starting to pick up again. I'm going to ask everyone to listen to each other, not interrupt each other. The right honorable prime minister from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, while the Conservative Party continues to try to pick fights in the House, this government is focused on delivering for Canadians, for hardworking families and for workers. While they filibuster in committee against the Budget Implementation Act that's going to create greater transfers for workers with the Canada Workers Benefit, deliver on an anti-flipping measures to help homeowners, moving forward in significant measures to help Canadians, they're playing games, Mr. Speaker. We are focused on affordability for Canadians. They're focused on picking fights.
The honorable leader of the opposition.
Well, when the prime minister found out of the closing of the Maine, the famous deli, he tweeted, "Ouch." But his ouch was not for the 35-year-long employee who lost his job. His ouch was that he's not going to be able to eat his favorite sandwich anymore. We found out from a loyal customer that the reason why the Maine closed is because food prices have skyrocketed under this prime minister. He's determined now to increase his carbon tax threefold, which will send food prices flying higher. Why doesn't he park his plane, cancel the hypocrisy, and axe the tax?
The Right Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Trudeau, Mr. Speaker, Montrealers, like Canadians all across the country, care deeply about order. Order. I don't think I have to remind the members not to use proper names, but order. Okay, you've got it out of your system. Now let's go on.
Just like a
Right
bunch of
Honourable Prime
kids.
Minister from the top, please. Mr. Speaker, Montrealers, like Canadians all across the country, care deeply about protecting the environment and also know that the only way to create good jobs, strong communities, and a better future is to fight climate change while we build a stronger economy. That's exactly what we have a plan to do. That is why we put a price on pollution and are sending the climate action incentive back to Canadians where it applies so that 8 out of 10 Canadians are doing better with that. We are fighting climate change and building a stronger economy, two things that the Conservatives apparently know nothing about. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The only one thing that the Prime Minister wants to know about is himself. That's why he can't help but using his own name right here on the floor of the House of Commons. And, Mr. Speaker, it's why the only concern he had about a business closing is he's not going to get his favorite sandwich. That means people are losing their jobs. Customers are losing the ability to eat. 1 in 5 Canadians are skipping meals now after 8 years of this prime minister, 1.5 million going to the food bank. The carbon tax hits the farmers that make the food, the truckers that ship it, and therefore it taxes the food itself. Why would he bring down food prices, bring home lower prices, and axe the tax?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, if the member opposite wants to talk about how we use social media respectively, let's remind everyone that he used misogynistic, anti-women hashtags to make sure that he was reaching out to dark corners of the internet with all of his YouTube videos until we called him out for it. Mr. Speaker, that kind of misogyny, the casual approach that they take on that side against fighting women's rights, against reopening the abortion debate, around being absolutely irresponsible with the approach and standing up for rights, it continues from them. So yes, let's judge each other on our social media. I look forward to Canadians looking carefully at what he said.
The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly.
Okay. So references there to the cost of living, rising inflation. We also know that there are new inflation figures out on the U.S. side tonight as well. Consumer prices rose 4.9% last month in the U.S. compared to a year ago. And that extends a month-long slowdown in the economy, which the Biden administration thinks is a good thing because they're trying to get inflation under control. And the way they're trying to do that is with higher interest rates, which is about the only tool they have in their toolbox at this point that they seem prepared to use, with the intent being to curb consumer spending, rein in economic activity, put more people out of work, and just slow the whole economy down so that prices come down. That reduces demand for goods, you see. When people have less money or it's more expensive to borrow, they spend less. If they spend less, that puts less demand out there. Lower demand against the same amount of supply or even less supply means that you get lower prices. See, I have been advocating for the opposite approach, which is to increase supply with more productivity and grow your way out of this. They want to slow everything down. They subscribe to a degrowth platform. But this new data aligns with the Federal Reserve's effort to slow the economy and slash prices while averting a recession. Except good luck. I think we're already in a recession. Certainly in Canada we are. And that 4.9% figure, that is more than double what the target of 2% is. And I guarantee you that 4.9% figure is cooked. It's actually much higher than that in real terms, because they always massage those numbers to make them look better than they really are. It's the methodology they use to calculate the cost of living increases the inflation rate. We also know that food prices are rising faster, especially on the US side. Well, in Canada too, actually, but the food prices are rising faster than overall inflation. They were up 7.7% last month over the past year. If you look at the price of cereal and bakery products, for instance, they were up about 12% on the US side compared to a year ago. And if you look at the cost of flour, up 18% on the US side. Eggs, eggs up 21% on the US side compared to a year ago. And I was at the grocery store again today, and I can tell you that again, year over year, a lot of prices have doubled on the Canadian side for a lot of products. Again, a package of hot dogs that were like $3.49, $3.99 a year ago, easily $6, $6.49. You know those cheap chicken wieners you can buy? A year ago, you could buy those for about 99 cents. Maybe $1.29, $1.49. In there today, $2.99. $2.99. I mean, it might not seem like a huge amount. It's only another dollar or two. No, that's like double. You start to look at that kind of price increase across the board for all the different things that you're buying. Not everything doubles in price, but a lot of things have. You know, $6.49 for a box, just a regular size box of Raisin Bran. The prices are crazy. On both Canadian and US side. It doesn't bode well. And Leo was quite right the other night when he was talking about, you know, keeping your eyes open, keep your eyes on the debt ceiling debate. That's coming up at the end of the month. And if the US doesn't raise that debt ceiling, if they don't find a way to deal with that, if they don't print more money and inflate the economy even more, it looks like we could be into a situation where they might actually default on some of those loans, international loans, and then confidence in the dollar will collapse and we're in deep, deep trouble. So I don't know what they're going to do because the US, Canada, we're so far in debt. I don't know how we get out of it. In fact, I don't think they plan to. I think they just plan to keep on printing money and just keep on engaging in this crazy, what's almost what it is. It's like a Ponzi scheme with this fiat currency. Now, tomorrow, the National Citizens Inquiry resumes in Quebec City. This, of course, is the inquiry looking into the Canadian government's response to the pandemic. Well, the last remaining signature, the last remaining author of the Charter on Rights and Freedoms, Brian Peckford, came out and was quite critical of the NCI. Just about a week or two ago, I guess. I haven't seen exactly what he said, but I know he has criticized the NCI. Well, we now have a response from the National Citizens Inquiry through an open letter to Brian Peckford. Here it is right here. And this is actually, I haven't read this before. And this is actually from 5 days ago, but I wanted to share it with you because somebody called in, I think it was yesterday, might have been the day before, and made reference to this. It was part of that rather colorful call that we had at the very end of the broadcast. Anyway, I'm going to read the letter because Brian Peckford has been seen by people within the freedom movement as someone who has been a freedom fighter, and yet we're seeing extreme division here. So let's see what this says. On Friday, May 5th, Honorable Brian Peckford, maybe this isn't from 5 days ago, but anyway, whatever the date is, it's recent, but not, I don't think it's from today. Anyway, on Friday, May 5th, the Honorable Brian Peckford, former Premier of Newfoundland, publicly denounced the National Citizens Inquiry at the Great Canadian Awakening Conference in Whitby. It is my understanding that organizers had asked Mr. Peckford to speak about the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I have to admit that I am disappointed and dismayed by Mr. Peckford's criticism that this important initiative is seriously flawed due to what he perceives as a conflict of interest. The criticism is surprising given it was Mr. Peckford who initially called for an independent public and national inquiry in May of 2022 as part of his message at the Reclaiming Canada conference in Victoria, BC. He served as one of the founding members of the steering committee responsible for bringing the vision of a citizen-led, citizen-funded inquiry to fruition. Mr. Peckford resigned from the steering committee because his vocal anti-government positions could be construed that the inquiry was not truly neutral and independent, and he felt that his best contribution could be as a witness presenting his evidence for the public record. The Honorable Preston Manning was also an early supporter of the inquiry, as one of more than a dozen people initially organizing the hearings. Earlier this year, Mr. Manning accepted a request from Alberta Premier Danielle Smith to chair a panel to review the legislation that guided Alberta's response to COVID-19 and recommended changes to improve the handling of future public health emergencies for Albertans. With early and full understanding of Mr. Manning's separate roles, both parties agreed that he could continue to serve both his fellow Canadians and his fellow Albertans, and appropriate modifications were made to Mr. Manning's responsibilities with the inquiry. The independent members of the steering committee agreed that Mr. Manning's contributions to the committee are very valuable, and the organizers believe the National Citizens Inquiry is much better with him than without him as one of our highly valued volunteers. Further, Mr. Manning is but one of many. Despite extensive explanation, Mr. Peckford disagrees with the members of the steering committee, which includes experts in ethics, which is his right. However, the inquiry is in progress with amazing success, and Mr. Peckford's concerns are not likely shared by the tens of thousands of Canadians who have signed the petition, volunteered their time and talent, and had their lives changed by the experience of attending and watching the hearings. 6 of 8 scheduled hearings have to date been completed. Due to the overwhelming demand from people to speak about the harm they have experienced and the need for still more expert testimony, organizers are considering ways to hear from more people. I encourage Mr. Peckford to watch the testimony of the hundreds of courageous witnesses who have stepped forward, overcoming their fear of social and financial impacts. I respectfully submit that there is nothing flawed about the National Citizens Inquiry. And then 2 points here that they make. 1, that the independent commissioners are not flawed, and 2, the lawyers facilitating the testimony are not flawed. 2 more points. It says those courageous Canadians testifying are not flawed. And then finally, the hundreds of individuals volunteering to support the inquiry are terrific people who may not be perfect, but neither are they flawed. The letter continues. In fact, I am personally humbled by all those involved and incredibly proud of what the National Citizens Inquiry has accomplished to date. We have brought forward the testimony of those whose lives have been catastrophically harmed by government mandates and policies. We have given voice to the millions of Canadians whose experiences have been silenced, censored, and diminished. And we have invited government and media across our nation to justify their measures and mandates. The public response to the NCI confirms what we assumed to be true. Canadians want the truth based on solid, verifiable evidence. We are delivering as promised. We knew there would be those who would attempt to discredit the NCI because of what it is exposing. There are vested interests who do not want the truth to be shared with the public, but collectively, the hundreds of NCI volunteers have faithfully discharged their responsibilities, and for that, all Canadians should be grateful. It goes on and says, I suggest the NCI may be one of the most important citizen-led events in the history of Canada. Time will tell. We have 2 further hearings scheduled for Quebec City, which resumes tomorrow, and Ottawa. I welcome and encourage all Canadians to witness the testimony and decide for themselves. And that comes from David A. Ross, the director of the National Citizens Inquiry. And that is an open letter to Brian Peckford. So I'm going to look more closely at what Brian Peckford had to say. Overall, I see value in what the NCI is doing. I think it is important. I'm always in favor of giving people a platform to speak and share their voice, especially if their voices have been suppressed or ignored. That certainly was the case up until now. I do have some concerns about the process that I've laid out, but those are procedural things. I'd like to see the government participating. I'd like to see more balance. What are you going to do if they choose not to come out and participate? The mainstream media is not giving it any attention at all. Even to date, I think they've received coverage from one mainstream media outlet, the CBC. It was a local report. I believe it was done in Winnipeg, if I'm not mistaken. Just one. Just one. We've been covering it pretty much consistently all the way through, every day, front to back, top to bottom, letting you get all of the information so that you can make your own assessment. It has been honestly very one-sided, but that's the way information seems to be shared these days. With people polarized, this group is going to participate in that group's process or inquiry or hearings. Everybody's in their own little camp, in their own little bubble. And that's unfortunate. We need to learn how to talk to each other again, I think, and we are ways off from doing that. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late.
Our military has been bad.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
I am going to see if I can pick up a little bit of that Trump feed. We won't run a lot of it because it is coming off CNN, but hang on just a moment. I'll be right with you.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, hang on. I've almost got it. Stay with me.
Hello, world. Are you awake? Uniting humankind by liberating millions of minds at a time. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Okay, hang on. Almost got it, I think. I'll try. I'm trying. I just need to find the feed. I thought I had it. Just starting, actually. I don't know, guys. Hang on. Okay. We'll just move on. I can't find a clean feed. It's okay. If I get one, I'll bring it up here in a minute. What are we going to go on to here next? How about we it's 8 o'clock, so let's go to the phones. I'll get the phone lines cranked up and you can join the conversation. Let me just run this little promo. You know what number to call. Here we go.
Join the conversation. Call 1-833-975-3733. That's 1-833-975. Free. Speak up. Speak out. Make your voice heard. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom by defending your right to free speech. Be a Maverick. Join us.
Okay, the phone lines are open. I'll get this up. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, I've got a feed coming in from the CNN thing, and it's a good thing we're not running what he's saying right now because we're still on YouTube. We get banned for sure because he's talking about exactly the kind of stuff that they don't like to hear on their platform. It has something to do with an election, and you know what I'm talking about. So he keeps saying it, and YouTube keeps banning everybody that runs that stuff. So best that we just leave him off for the moment. Anyway, let's go to our first call of the night. Here's Rob. Hello, sir. How are you tonight?
How's it going, Rick? It's Rob.
Hi, it's going okay. What's on your mind?
Well, I see that I wasn't the only person that managed to sit through that live feed about this meeting that they had about the president.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, there was also some other stuff that went on, and it gets out of hand. I can agree, like the FBI, I can't say, can I say FBI?
Yeah, you can say FBI.
Can I say DEA?
You can say DA.
Okay. Well, one of my favorite representatives actually just happens to be from the state that I live in, and he put the point across. And you have to kind of decipher where this is going with Biden, where this is going with Trump. I live in a blue state, if anybody didn't know, and he made the question 6 times to the leading official at the DEA. She says, well, we was going to hire 150 new DEA agents to combat this drug problem that they seem to have with this methamphetamine. I can say that, right?
Yeah, I guess you can because you just did.
So here we are a year later. It's a whole year after they came before a committee to get their budget approved. They were gave money. Inside their agreement was to actually hire another 150 new agents. The question was asked 6 times, and as of the question was answered. None of the 150 agents had been hired. Then the question was asked again. How many agents do you anticipate on hiring into the DEA to put our methamphetamine drug problem under control? And they were going to add an additional 10 agents. So far, he made the point was, is if you and I, Rick, or anybody out there listening, was in a position to where we had to take on responsibility and our responsibility failed, Mr. Kennedy made the point, as you and I, we would just simply just get fired. But in the case of the government, it seems as though whenever they don't meet the requirements of their job and the aspects and positions of their job, they just simply just come to us and ask for more money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing I want to talk to Fred. You know, I know Fred. I'm not sure if Fred does he understand? Has he been taught English? I mean, what's his basic language for his new environment? Is it fish language? What's the language going on?
I have not yet determined what language he speaks. I do know that he will be facing some serious issues he's going to have to resolve, because I understand there's a fish caravan on the way to his new home, and when they arrive, he will need to deal with this immigration issue, and he'll have to decide if they're allowed to share the space, if he will have to stop them at the border, you know, if he will have to declare sovereignty over his space. And you see, these are important questions.
I mean, so that's going to involve some financial decisions on Fred's behalf. I mean, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what kind of currency? What's the currency going to be in this environment here? You know?
Yes.
You know, I mean, you gotta, you know, it's sort of like this. Sometimes people accuse me of, because of my background, I kind of desperately try to keep my mouth shut. But let's just say Fred wants to build some new houses inside of his new environment. And we say, okay, Rick, you can be the spokesperson for Fred. Well, one is, I hear the Chinese are good at loaning money to investment companies, for mortgages and car loans and all of that kind of stuff. But, the last people I heard used the Chinese people and borrowed money from them, I mean, they just kind of got like this little green coupon, so it's just a coupon. But
well, right now,
in-
Fred is living off basically the fat of the land, right? He just gets fed. He doesn't know where the food comes from. It's just there. He doesn't really work for anything other than just swims around, does little tricks in front of the camera. It's not running right now. It kind of shut off on its own. So I don't have the Freedom fish cam up right now. But the initial question here that he's going to have to deal with is a question of sovereignty. Does he have complete domain and jurisdiction over his territory? And if so, how is he going to defend it? And should he allow any other fish to come and live in that same space? Because as soon as he does, do they have any rights? Is he automatically in charge? Is he the leader? How do we establish the hierarchy of command or governance there? See, we're going to have to establish, as soon as you introduce another fish, now he would have to share the space. Right now, he owns the whole thing, right? Or does he own it?
It's going to have to be a constitution of fish rights.
Yeah, we're going to have to come up with a constitution if he's going to have a country.
One is you got to be careful with these things, Rick. You say the wrong thing and somebody's going to be accusing you of colonizing a slave fish environment, so they got to be free fish.
Well, that's exactly it. I've already had to wrestle with that question, because as far as I'm concerned, he essentially was captured like a slave from Thailand, transported here to Canada, put in a little fish prison, a little cup. I went in there. Did I liberate him, or am I now just a slave owner? Because I paid for Fred.
It's based on money, so if I was just a crooked old loan company and I said, okay, Fred, I'm going to loan you some money to build you some stuff. Meanwhile, in this riddle of things, I'm going to say, well, when you come in to get that loan on that mortgage on that house you're going to need, well, here's the thing. You're going to need some insurance on the loan.
Yeah.
So even if you default on the loan because some of the people in your community can't get a job and pay their mortgage, the bank's going to get paid. I want to get paid, so I want to make sure that loan's insured.
Right.
So all of my contract help can get their commissions, and they can get their money.
So
it's a diplomatic world going on. I can agree.
Yes.
So one is, they used to call that, when somebody sets their house on fire and burns it down and collects all the insurance, it's just basically a banking institution setting their bank on fire and getting collection insurance off of it.
Well, to kind of sort of stay focused on where we're at with Fred, though, what is your opinion? Should Fred, or should we allow another fish into the community? Or should Fred protect his borders and say, no more fish here. This is my sovereign territory. No one else is allowed here. I want it all for myself. What is your opinion?
He has to be considered an indigenous fish to his new environment. So he was there first. He has no other refuge.
Right.
So it would be my view to get Fred in the tank with the same population, see how that goes, give the indigenous species a chance to thrive a little bit, see how that goes. And that gives them opportunity to be financially capable of maybe adopting some new members into their community and being able to afford such things, infrastructure, in a diplomatic way, I would assume.
Maybe.
So, you know, they say birds of a feather, they flock together. So, no, I just think that the leadership, you know, I think that whenever they took Al Capone out of Chicago, they put him in a research laboratory for politicians, and they just spun it around, and now they reap the rewards of it. You know, it's the same thing. You know, they come to the table. They want money as public servants, and infrastructure was what was supposed to. Infrastructure and defense. I hope Fred has infrastructure planned, his defense planned. Who's going to protect? You know, is he going to need some satellites floating around outside of his tank? I mean, how far are we going to go with it? You know, or are we just going to leave him alone and let him thrive in his own natural indigenous environment? You know, it's a hard coin to have to deal with.
Yeah. Well, listen, Rob, we're going to wrap up. I'm going to move on to Dragon next. Thank you, sir, for the call.
Yeah. Well, give Fred a woman, man. I think he needs a companion. You know, that'd be the best thing. But I appreciate your call, Rick, and good luck to Fred. You know, I'm with Fred. You know, I'll support Fred.
Yeah, me too. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. You have a great night.
Yeah.
Okay, here's Dragon. You're up next, sir. You go ahead.
What's up, Rick and friends? How are you tonight?
Oh, we're okay. We're still
Cool.
here.
Well, I just wanted to open a point with Fred. Actually, you know what? He's on welfare.
He is right now.
You know
He just
why?
doesn't realize
Because
it.
you're the provider,
That's right.
like the federal government. But on the other point, I wanted to make, well, let's put it this way. Yesterday, I was kind of looking at some information, and I probably provided some of the information that you gave yesterday. So I'm sorry that probably some of them might have been wrong, or probably that is not the one that you were looking for. So I will own my my mistake on this one.
Well, thank you for
And
doing
it's
that.
not because you won't.
I think that you're probably in the same position I was in, where you were getting incorrect information and sharing it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're trying to find the good information and the truthful one, but there's so many bad information and misinformation around that it's kind of hard to get into the real truth and get into it. And I'm asking myself, how do you yourself, Rick, how do you get around that, and how can you normally, what is your trick to control that around you? I mean,
Well, usually it means multiple sources. To confirm. Usually, you try to call the source directly, which is what I did today. Right? I was just a little behind on that, but I thought I had more than enough confirmation yesterday to go ahead and share the information. But what I didn't realize is that I was being misled, because it all looked go to the website. I was told, look at this page. Then I scrolled down. They didn't tell me to look, but I did. I checked the date, 2023, so it's current. Then there was a phone call to an actual member of Parliament's constituency office. I heard the phone call. I heard the recording of the phone call. The person in the constituency office confirmed the information as it was being shared with me. So that person, even in a Liberal member of Parliament's constituency office, an employee there, was also fed this incorrect information and believed it, and fed it back through the system, so that even I'm listening to that and I'm thinking, well, this person should know. They're in an MP's office. They work there. So that's more confirmation. Then I was hearing, then I was getting information from people within the freedom movement who were sending me this. They were livid. They were all upset. Then I'm seeing other independent streamers, some of whom I don't really put much stock in. I don't I don't follow them. I don't trust them. Some of them, other ones I did, but they were making references to it. A couple of the people that I don't care for, honestly, did long videos on it, and they were hammering on it. And so with all of those things going on, it all seemed verified to me. I figured, well, I'm not the only one getting this information, and these people must also be checking it. And I've checked, and so those are the things that I looked at to tell me, like even on the website, it says 2023 at the bottom of the website, but it's still old information. They didn't update it from the last election. And so some people have taken advantage of that, and they've put it out there to scare the crap out of people. And that is what is going on. And that's why when I called today to the Liberal offices, I did speak to two people today about this. And, and I spoke to somebody directly at the Liberal Party of Canada, and they're telling me that they've been flooded with phone calls because it isn't just me, or maybe, but a lot. This propaganda has been spreading like wildfire over the last day, and they've been bombarded with calls because it's not true, and people are freaking out, and justifiably so. It scared the crap out of me. For me, that would be the worst thing I could imagine at this point. More vaccine mandate, like bring it back. Like my mind was my brain was blowing up. It made my head explode. I thought, how could they possibly? Why would they? Couldn't possibly? But it is. But it isn't. It's not true. It's not true. Scary as hell. Scary.
All right.
Not true.
It's sure that it's scary. I mean, everyone would think that first of all, everything will be put into us by force, and I mean, nobody would like that to happen. I mean, obviously. But yeah, I mean, there's so many people like you said that actually push the rhetoric, and actually it's feeling like we're being manipulated on every part.
Oh yes,
even from the government part and from the people.
People don't want to hear this, but I'm committed to telling people the truth, and the truth is we are being subjected to fear porn on both sides, especially right now from not the government side, but the other side. From various sources for various reasons, and some of them are like working in concert with each other. They're not. It's so complicated how it's happening, but people are being subjected to fear porn, and it's being done with absolute political objectives in mind. People are being manipulated. There's no question about it. And this thing that happened yesterday, it's just part of it. It was a lie. It was propaganda. It was being fed. I bought into it. I believed it. They got me. And it's wrong.
Oh, they got me too. You know, I feel kind of on the same page, and I mean, sorry for the misleading, but yeah, I will own my error and my mistakes.
Yeah, but it's for me. I'm so ashamed because it really did scare people. I know it did, and I will. Like if it's scary, I'll tell you. If it's scary, and it was scary, but again, it wasn't true. That's not right. I feel bad about that because I don't want to scare people without just unless they should be scared. And if that had been true, then yeah, people need to know. If it scares you, it scares you. If it's true, it's true. But if it's not true, I'm going to tell you it's not true too. And the bigger story here is that look at what they did and how effective it was and how fast that worked. And this is wrong.
War propaganda style.
Yes. Yeah, it's modern information warfare is what that was. It's exactly what it was. The stupid thing is about it, though, is like, how long did they think that was going to go on before people found out that it was a lie? Like that particular piece of information? It took me, what, not even 24 hours, right? Because I was given the information midday yesterday, ran with it, a few hours later on the show. And then overnight, by morning, I realized this was all bunk. It was all crap. So now here I am tonight, a day later, setting the record straight and retracting and apologizing. I got suckered with a misinformation.
As we all do
propaganda
at some point.
Yeah. But it makes me wonder, what else are we being told that isn't true? What other information is out there, even coming from the freedom side, that is being used to manipulate us, to get people jacked up and angry? And I've called out some of it already, and people don't like it when I do, because they don't want to hear it. It's like, no, our side's pure. They don't want to see it. They don't want to hear it. But it's true, man. It's not,
Well, if I may be honest, I felt a little bit not obfuscated, but upset a little bit when that happened a little bit earlier, and you did the. But I looked into it at some point, and I was like, yeah, there's probably some truth behind the whole thing that Rick is now actually putting out there, because, well, yeah, we probably have been misled at some point, and this is where I kind of put myself, even my own self, on a hold, and I'm like, yeah, asking myself the question: am I asking the right question? Am I doing the right thing? Am I, pushing the right rhetoric or the right word out there? Because I mean, there's so many things that is like, yeah, it's a keg powder,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just need a little smash, and it's gonna ignite and explode. And I mean, it's really now like a problem. Everything is fueled up. There's like too many oil on every fire around here, and I mean, everyone is being misled because of that.
Yep, and some people know
That's
that,
the
and
way I see
they
it.
did. Yesterday was just another attempt to exploit that emotion.
Exactly.
That's what it was.
Well, Andy, I will wish you a good night, my friend.
Thank you.
And I will say thanks for everything. Have a good night.
You as well, my friend. Okay, folks, if you are inclined to support the show, you can donate at freedomreporters.com. You can also donate at maverickdonations.com. Please consider subscribing on YouTube if you're over there. We're not running as much on YouTube as we used to. We got banned on there for a week. Still another ban in place of one of the other channels. But if you're on YouTube, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. And we're growing like crazy over on Rumble on the channels we have set up over there now. So please consider subscribing on Maverick News and Maverick News Channel 2. There are two different channels over there. And with the NCI resuming tomorrow, we will be making use of Channel 2 to run the NCI live front to back with commentary, call-in show as well during the day. So please consider subscribing on Rumble. We're also running on Facebook and Twitter and Clouthub and YouTube, Odyssey, and now Brighteon as well. We're on over there. And we're going to be on Roku, on what's it called? Awake TV, I believe it is. It's a channel that features all the different freedom-oriented and conservative-oriented live streams, podcasts, not podcasts, but shows that are online. And we're included in that new, I guess, mini network. So we'll be broadcasting over there as well. Looking forward to that. So again, freedomreporters.com to support the show if you want to donate to us. We do have t-shirts, and I know some people have been inquiring. I haven't sold any yet. I've been giving some away to people who have been helping with the show. I have more coming, and I need to figure out exactly how we're going to handle the merch. Makes me a little uncomfortable, but we'll do it. And we have some shirts with embroidery and stuff like that coming as well, which are pretty nice. So all of that stuff coming in the days ahead. Now, if you want to call into the show tonight, I'll put up the banner here with the phone number. You can phone in at 1-833-975-3733, 1-833-975-3733. Here's the number to call. I will run this promo and be right back.
Join the conversation. Call 1-833-975-3733. That's 1-833-975. Free. Speak up. Speak out. Make your voice heard. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom by defending your right to free speech. Be a Maverick. Join us.
Okay, let's go to our next caller, and it is the man himself. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good evening, the multi-assaulted man without a plan to master all disasters. Rick, you got integrity, mister. Okay, just by retracting what you said from yesterday, this and that. Okay, there's nobody out there that would do it as good as you, my friend. Okay, now we all make mistakes in life, but 1 out of 100 stories you could do on Trudeau, one's false. Big fucking deal. Should I forgive him? Maybe I should vote for him. I highly doubt it. At the end of the day, Rick, not your fault. Shit happens, right? I'm just glad you got to the misinformation. That's misinformation for you at its finest.
Yeah.
And you got to it within 24 hours, right? So you did your due diligence. You always have to watch out because there are people that, like you said, that are in line, right, for their own agendas.
Yep, and I've taken all those videos down as well because I don't want that stuff circulating. So I've taken all my posts down from yesterday.
Yeah, fear porn could get a lot of people hurt in a hurry, right? And as much as I don't like the liberals, okay, it is what it is at the end of the day. But I wouldn't put it past them, right?
Yeah, me either. That's why I was like, sounds like something he'd do.
Hey, he's trying to force C-18 or C whatever. What is it? C-18, C-7?
C-11,
C7's a machine gun.
C-18, yeah, both of them.
Yeah, I don't even know. See, there's so many C's out there, but it should spell C-U-N-T at the end of the day because that's what he's trying to pass up on us.
Yeah, I know.
So it is what it is. The price of things, here you go. For instance, I'm building a nice garden in my backyard. I got a beautiful backyard, okay, and I've never really utilized it, minus for marijuana plants. And I'm building a about 20 by 8 feet wide bed, okay, 12 inches high. I went out to buy some wood, pressure treated, one board, 10 foot, okay, by 10 by 12. You know how much money they wanted? One board.
No idea.
Pressure treated. $78 plus tax.
Oh my God.
Okay. And that's only 10 feet. So I'm like, you got to be joking me. And the guy goes, oh, it ain't our fault, Leo. So I know exactly what's going on. Okay. Everybody's gouging everybody. You know, the trees are from us. They're from Canada. Okay. It's insane. It's insane. $10 for a 2x4. Okay. It's sickening. So
$10.
Luckily for me,
is that pressure treated?
Yeah, pressure treated. But even non-pressure treated for a 2x12, it was $68. $10 cheaper. So, luckily for me, where I work, we get these we get machines that come in from all over the world, right? And they're sitting on 4x4 pressure treated obviously, because coming from other countries, right? They're heat treated and the whole 9 yards to get rid of any bugs.
Yeah.
Okay. And we got some that are 16 feet long, man. So I went to my boss. You guys throwing all that shit out? He said, yeah. So I'm making it out of 4x4 posts, right? It's going to look very good. I'm doing it on the shop floor right now. So it's like Lego. When I get home, all I got to do is just slap it together. Boom, boom, boom. All my cuts are already made. And I saved myself probably, no word of a lie, for that box would have been $300 just in lumber. So
Awesome.
if you're building anything, beware, right? These houses now, I see why the price of a house now for a shitty burnt out house in Windsor, burnt out. Okay, on Lewis Avenue, you know where that is, Rick? Down in the Skid Row area, $305,000, and there was a house fire there, and windows are burnt out of it, and the whole 9 yards. Now I see that's for the property now. To build a house, it's insane. 7 years ago, I could have built myself a fine house for under $180,000, brand new.
Yeah.
Now that house will cost you about $450 just the material to do it yourself. So everything's gone up. Things got to change. You know, when the prime minister don't care really about people going hungry in this country, he's going to start caring very soon. Because you see what's going on in California, it's only a matter of time before that dance catches on over here in Canada, where people just, you know, hundreds of them just flock into the store and grab it and run out. See ya.
Yeah.
You know, and who's to blame at the end of the day? You know, when you got a family to feed and you can't afford to feed them, then what are you going to do? Kill raccoons and squirrels in your backyard?
Yeah. A lot of rabbits around here, but you get tired of rabbit after a while.
Well, I don't get tired of rabbit. Not at all. I don't get tired of that. I don't get tired of rabbit. I don't get tired of deer. I don't get tired of the fish, right? I'll eat that any day of the week, right? Over what we have in the supermarkets, because we don't know what we really have in the supermarkets. That's a scary thing. At least you know what you're getting when you got yourself a rabbit.
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah,
you're getting you might be getting Z bugs. Like the box of cereal, the bag of chips. You're putting cricket juice on everything, right? So
that's right.
Yeah. So be very when it says bioengineered food, what do you think that means, folks?
When I was at the pet
Take one guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
When I was at the pet store getting stuff for Fred the fish, they had crickets like for pet food, like on the shelf, and I thought, you see that the government is treating us just like animals. They want us to eat.
Yeah, freeloading Fred's got it easy. We're gonna call him freeloading Fred or welfare Freddy.
Yeah,
he's in the system now, and he's just gonna, he's got it easy, man. When you're a fish in a fishbowl, you got it easy.
That's right.
When you're a Rottweiler in my house, or a pit bull in my house that I own, or a Shih Tzu that I own, or the cats, you got it easy, man. All you got to do is just do your thing. It's free rent, free food.
And just as a last thought, Leo, what would you do? What's your opinion? Should another fish be allowed to enter Fred's sovereign space, or should the other fish be stopped at the border and prevented from entering?
No, let the other fish in as long as it's the same as Fred. Okay, the same type of fish as Fred, whatever Fred is, let him in. He's got to have some companionship. Yeah, I don't care what species you are in life.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have companionship, whatever it is. Okay, so, but yeah, bring something in that's exactly the same as him, man. Right?
Well, actually, if I bring in another beta, they will fight and kill each other.
Even a female? How do you know it's
I'm
a
not
male?
sure. I think I don't know. I have to check that. I know if it's another male for sure, they'll fight because they're Siamese.
Well, if he came from Thailand, he could be one of them girly boys. Who knows, right?
Yeah, well, he's a beta fish. He's not an alpha, but he's a very masculine beta. I was looking at him. I think I still think he likes the ladies. He's just very metrosexual.
Yeah, well, when I was growing up, I liked the ladies too, but I was a master beta. I was a beta too, a master beta. With that being said, all you rumblers out there, go jerk off. How's that sound? And shit with Biden, fuck him. Okay, he's a crook. We know it. I can't wait for FU Friday. It's already starting already. It's only Wednesday. It's hump day. That Biden, what'd you expect at the end of the day? Expect a lot more to come out of this. Hopefully mainstream media gets their shit together and gets on board with Rick Walker and get the real stories out, man, because that's all that matters is truth, folks.
That's right. That is right. The truth will set us free.
Thank you, Rick.
Leo. Take care, my man.
Hey, and also I'm a paying member of the Maverick multimedia, and it's only $5 a month on Rumble. Okay, so you got an option. You could pay in rents, or you could pay by the month. Okay, it only cost me $5. I saved a ton on my car insurance by switching over to Geico for this one, buddy. Big time.
Thank you. Really appreciate it, Leo. All right,
Have a
my
good day.
friend. You see ya. All right, let's move on to Antonio. Hello, how are you, sir?
I'm well, Rick.
Good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a couple of comments on the incorrect information. I think you should be at peace with yourself. I mean, it's not often that you see someone coming out, and you came out immediately and
Sorry, we're kind of losing your call there, Antonio. We lost your call. I think you're back now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. We did lose your signal for a moment.
Okay, so I don't know where you left off, but as I was saying, it's not often that you see a reporter come out and outright correct the information immediately. So I think you should be at peace with yourself, Rick. And I have more trust in you now, even more so than before, with you coming out and correcting the information.
Well, I still apologize. Yeah, I appreciate the confidence and the tolerance.
Absolutely. It's like Leo said. You know, if you get it wrong, none of us are perfect, Rick. Once we have that understanding, then we can move on, right? And like I said, it takes integrity to come out and admit it, right? When you came out, it's not like you were, you know, blaming anyone for it all. So you took the brunt of it, and that's to me, as I said, integrity. So
thank you.
You can be at peace with yourself, sir.
Well, obviously,
and as far as Fred,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry,
No, you
can go ahead,
No,
Rick.
you go ahead. I'm good.
I was going to say, as far as Fred's concerned, if you bring good into his tank, then I think it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to bring division and pollute the tank, then there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I can keep it as simple as that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to come in and you're going to earn your keep in the tank, then you're good to go.
Yeah. Well, you know, as
That's my
we,
views.
I mean, this is so then the question is, what kind of fish do we bring in? And like, does Fred, like, does he have rights? Do these other fish have rights? Once we introduce the other fish, which fish get priority? Which fish? So, I mean, these are things that we're going to have to consider as we build this community. And I'm trying to look at this in a as a sort of a metaphor, right, for society.
Right.
So we
Absolutely.
can explore these issues. And the first order of business that we're dealing with here is immigration. Are we going to allow any other fish in, or is this sovereign territory? And does he own it? And if he's first there, people have said, well, now he's the indigenous fish. Does that mean he gets special rights if we allow other fish to come in? I mean, right now he has free. He has the whole thing to himself. It's his tank, right? But you bring another fish in,
Right.
The other fish have equal rights, or they're not indigenous, or are they? We'll have to explore these issues. So you're in favor of bringing in another fish or more fish?
I'm in favor of it if he can earn his keep. If he's going to eat up what Fred has worked for, and bring in like his different views, like I said, causing division, then there could be an issue with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it has
No,
to be
anyone coming in should earn
we're
their
going
keep.
to limit immigration based on whether we determine if the fish coming in is friendly or aggressive. And the other question is, how many fish would we allow to come in through immigration? Well, maybe allow one in at first, but will we allow more? And if so, how many? It's a 5-gallon tank. Where do you limit
As
it?
many, the more the better. That's my belief. The more the better, as long as I said, they're willing to abide by the rules, right?
Well, what rules?
Like
what rules?
Well, you're gonna have to establish some.
There you go. Now we're talking. Yeah. We're going to have to, I guess we're going to have to establish some rules, right? Because as soon as you introduce another citizen into the community, now you have more than one, and we have to establish the ground rules. How do you do that? We're going to have some sort of what? Constitution, laws?
Constitution. Yep. You need law. I think laws are good, right? Yeah. I think that they could be good. But when you start conflicting other laws and bringing in other laws that don't align with the ones within the tank, then that's when the problems start coming in.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we know that, I don't know if we can go on say it straight, and the Constitution here in Canada, I mean, there were certain laws when my parents came from Italy. They came here. They were willing to work hard. They abided by the rules, and nothing was given to them freely.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said,
just to
I
wrap
think if
up,
they come in, they should earn their keep.
And just to wrap up, Antonio, maybe think about it over the next day or even few days or whatever, and just think, what kind of government system are we going to have for Fred? What kind of constitution? Is it going to be a parliamentary democracy? Is it going to be a republic? Is it going to be something else? Is it all going to be based on, well, maybe it would be this common law system that we keep hearing people refer to so much, right? Because right now, what system is in place in that tank? Is there any government at all? Are there any laws?
From what I understand, our Constitution was based on Judeo-Christian values. And that appears to be quickly eroding.
Well, these are large questions, so contemplate that, and then let's have a further discussion the next time you call in.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks.
Peace be with you, Rick.
You as well.
And all Mavericks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Take care. And who do we have on the line next?
Yeah, hello.
Hello, how are you? Who's this?
Yeah, it's Fred. It's Fred calling about Fred.
How you doing?
But first of all, I'd like to give Leo a little bit of advice. It's not good to use pressure treated timber to box in your vegetable garden, because there may be a chance that you might get some of the pressure treating chemicals into your vegetables. Something to think about.
Okay. Well, maybe he should.
Okay.
Maybe you should put some plastic or line the thing or something so that it doesn't leach or whatever. I don't know.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Leo will do whatever Leo wants to do, so that's up to him. But I'm thinking in regard to Fred here now.
Sure.
Is that his aquarium deserves some kind of a constitution, and I'm thinking it should be based pretty much on the American Constitution, with the First Amendment that says that that with the freedom of speech and everything along that line, and then we go to the Second Amendment, where he should have the right to bear arms, and maybe he could buy himself a little fishy AR-15, and any of the fish that are dropped into his tank that he didn't like, if they're not white fish or they have fish with funny eyes, maybe he could just shoot them.
Well, these are important questions, right?
Well, yeah, and maybe he could just he could make the trip down to the aquarium in Allen, Texas, and take his little AR-15 with him there too.
I don't know. I mean, it's
you don't know.
I mean, it's interesting that you bring these things up because these are, legitimate questions that I think that are certainly worthy of exploring as a metaphor that we overlay onto society, right? So I understand exactly what you're saying. So you
think so?
Would you really want a U.S. style system for Fred, or would you? I mean, there are other possibilities out there, but you think we should use the U.S. Constitution as a template here?
Well, the aquarium in Texas, they've got more fish guns there than any place else in the United States. And how do you think it's working out for them?
Actually, I think Governor Greg Abbott said that in terms of new gun purchases, they've slipped to number 2. I think he said that yesterday.
That's really good, Rick. I like that.
So yeah, these are
but
inquiring minds want to know. We're going to explore
well,
these issues.
I just got one more point is that last night's point in regard to the Liberals bringing campaigning on vaccination mandates. You got sucked in there, buddy. You really did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I can honestly believe that you believe that and was willing to put it on the air. It is really sad.
Well, I appreciate the criticism.
Well, hey, hire some staff and do a little bit more research if you're going to keep this thing rolling here or whatever.
Sure. Well, we do our best with what we have, right? That's all we can ever do.
Hey, thanks for giving me the opportunity to comment.
No problem, my friend. You call back anytime. Have a great
Good night.
See ya. Okay, who do we have up next? Is it? Oops.
Hello.
Hello. Is it Ray? I can't tell from the.
Could be Ray. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, Rick.
Hi. How are you?
Good afternoon. Or evening for you. I'm in Vancouver.
Thanks for calling.
Just want to make a little comment on the mea culpa about the liberal position on the bringing back the mandates. I got taken in as well, and I'm happy to be corrected and happy to hear it from you first. But with all all the pearl clutching and tear jerking, and the assumption that it was done intentionally, I think I'd be more careful about that. We've got a pretty crazy prime minister, and nothing is nothing is beyond imagination where this guy's going to take us. So people may have jumped the gun, but it could have been innocently too. The office was called and they didn't get clarity from the Liberal office. And
I got clarity.
so I wouldn't put bad
I got
intention.
clarity when I called.
Well, okay, so you took it further, but I'm saying the assumption that somebody did this intentionally, somebody else may have jumped the gun as well, because it wasn't clear from, unless it was a fake, it wasn't clear from the website that being currently dated, that was a past posting. All I'm trying to say is, like, people are jumpy, people are edgy with everything that's happened, and
True enough.
when they hear something like that, it's not necessarily ill intent that people say, "Hey, shit, look what's happening." So that's all I'm saying is, like, it could be just jumping the gun on it. And I broadcast it to other people, and people ask me, "Well, that can't be true." And then I put out something else that seemed to support it. And I said, "Well, according to this and that." So, it's an honest mistake. And it could have been from the beginning. I don't know. I wouldn't automatically assume that somebody is intentionally misguided us.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not just I'm making those statements based on where the information came from and just the other paths that I followed through the day today, and also from what I've been seeing. I'm seeing other propaganda as well, and I'm catching actual lies in other forms as well, and it's been very concerning to me. I find it very distasteful, disturbing, because I'm a journalist. I don't like this propaganda, but we're in a different time where.
Well, I'm a layman, and I scour the internet, and I try to do the same thing, discern what's true or not, and cross-check, open source it, and you can do that a few times, and once in a while you make a mistake.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is, I don't know, maybe originally somebody made a mistake and it just snowballed, right?
It's
because we're all on edge, right?
It's possible.
Well, unless you probably have more information than I do. I'm cursory following this for the last or two.
I don't want to. I just don't want to.
I respect that, and all I'm saying is that if you're going to say ill intent and call people liars, then I think that should be backed up as well. If you can show that somebody has intentionally done this, as opposed to, okay, somebody jumped the gun on something, some misinformation, and it snowballed, right? So that's all I'm trying to say.
I appreciate it, but I'm actually getting I'm a little bit tired of people picking sides and looking at every side as being completely pure when I see absolute evidence of propaganda campaigns on all sides. And
well,
I see it for what it is. You can draw your own conclusions.
Well, that's fine. I hear that. All I'm saying is that if we're going to criticize, if we're going to be thorough one way, then we're going to be thorough the other way.
You know what happened the last time I was thorough with people? I had to go to war, and I got my teeth kicked and my groin kicked, and the channel suffered, and it just went on for a long time, and I'm still suffering from cyber attacks. So I'm sorry. I can be thorough if you want me to be, I suppose, but there'll be a heavy price to pay as soon as I name a name. So it's not worth it.
Yeah, okay. I can't speak to your experience, and I there are a few definitely I wouldn't I would say there's some people out there with that don't have ill intent that are pretending to be on this side of the fence. But all I'm saying in general that mistakes are also made.
It's not.
And we have to consider
it's
that.
not. It isn't just a mistake. There's a campaign on to get people angry. They're filling people's heads full of fear porn every day with a variety of different issues. And some people have been exposed to it so much that they're suffering the effects of mental illness. And they're in the chats here. And I just don't want to get into it any deeper tonight. You can take it for what it's worth and believe what you want. But this was just one more piece of the campaign that came my way, and I was bombarded with the information. It was fed directly into me, and there's a constant effort every single day for where people, organizations, groups are trying to gain access to this channel and to you guys, the audience, in order to distribute information for political or other purposes every single day. And I try to filter out all of the stuff that I can. It's constant. It's absolutely constant. Came through the same kind of channels, and now I know a couple of people that I just not going to trust anymore. So that's kind of the way.
Well, yeah.
I appreciate what you're saying. And
I'm not. I'm not arguing that, and all I'm saying is that we have to look at it pragmatically, and sometimes mistakes are just mistakes. And I'm not saying I don't know, and you've got experiences and you've got information, perhaps I don't, but that was my only point. And
I understand, and I appreciate it. Those are fair. What you're saying is fair. I mean, but that's why I'm not making specific allegations against any specific people. And people are.
Yeah, and I'm not telling you what you're saying. It may not be true. I mean, I'm not taking a hard and fast position either way. I'm just leaving it open. So.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. You have a great night, and I appreciate the call. Look forward to the next one. Take care, my friend.
Me as well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right. Who do we have up here next? Who's on the line? Let's have a look here. Hello.
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 It's Mrs. Fred.
I didn't know.
It's Mrs. Fred Fishbone.
Hi there. I didn't know that he was married. I guess you called in the other night,
yes,
didn't you?
I called.
Oh, yes, and the kids.
Right. Yes. Well, I just wanted to say that yes, we have 7 kids. So he's an alpha beta male, not just a beta. I don't understand what this human name that you've given us called beta. He's an alpha male because we have 7 children.
Wow, he's been a busy boy.
And I want to say that he wants to live with dignity, just as I do, and he gets along right kind, and he likes to have to be with them. He can't just be with anyone. And we have, and really we're new immigrants here because we come from Thailand. The 2 of us, that's where we met,
right? And
in the rice paddy, and so we're immigrants, but. And he's working hard. He's not a welfare fish. He's doing his thing and looking beautiful. And just like models get paid for looking beautiful, he's looking beautiful, and he's working, and he's going to keep your channel up and running, and making a lot of good conversations on how to build a new community.
Well, you're not here, and some people are saying that we're supposed to get Fred a girlfriend. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't think I'll ever see him again unless my human mummy Pam wants to send me there, and I really like it here because I have my own little castle, and she's out looking hard for our babies, and she's even going to paint a picture of them for me, and so I think that she would be very upset if I left her now. We get along well, and she looks after me well, and I don't have to worry about anything. And Fred and I did argue sometimes, so it's kind of nice, being alone, and maybe she can bring me some other fish in too that I get along with.
Okay. Well, thank you.
So we just have to have a good, and we don't I don't want her to bring other fish into my tank that I won't get along with.
Of course. Okay.
And we have to have things in common.
Gotcha. So what kind of government should Fred have?
Well, I think that's going to evolve over time, but I think that he has to have something where he lives in peace, and he doesn't have to feel like he's going to have to fight anyone.
Well, some fish are aggressive. He might need to defend his territory. Perhaps what he needs is a military.
Of course he'll need to defend his territory. I don't mind that. I mean, that's how we met. There was another fish after me, and he took care of it right away. And that fish floated to the top pretty quickly, and I liked it because I knew he could protect me, and he was strong.
Interesting. Well, tomorrow maybe we'll explore the possibility of bringing in soldiers to defend Fred's borders, and we'll see what that looks like.
Okay, that would be interesting because when we're in the wild, we defend each other, and it takes whatever it takes. We have our own army.
That's right. Right now, you could argue that Fred is living under, the law of the jungle, right? Or maybe natural law.
Yeah, the law of the, and we look after each other, and we don't let bigger fish come in and try and gobble us up. We first of all we hide, and if they're a little bit bigger, then we all nip at them and they go away.
Well, there you go. Well, let's wrap it up for tonight. Any final thoughts?
I think I'll just look forward to see how the community, the Maverick community, puts this new country together.
It's going to be a journey. Thank you very much, Mrs. Fred, for calling in.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Talk to you again. Bye. That was Mrs. Fred. What a deadbeat dad he is. Taking off from Thailand, letting himself get caught. 7 kids, leaves him in the lurch. Doesn't even carry his weight here hardly. And there she is supporting 7 children, all on her own. There's a social issue for you. All right, let's take this down. That gets us to the end of the evening. You can support the channel by donating at freedomreporters.com. Freedomreporters.com. And you can also donate at maverickdonations.com. If you're so inclined, if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that. Please share on Facebook. If you're on YouTube and you're subscribed, please consider hitting that notification bell. That'll send you a notification every time we put up a new video. And if you're over on Rumble, we really appreciate it. Please make sure you subscribe over there as well. Helps us out a great deal because we're not going to get banned over there like we just got banned, but we're back on YouTube. So thank you, everyone, for spending your time here tonight. And again, thank you for your understanding and your patience in these crazy, crazy times I will be back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch you on the flip side. Love you. Take care.